mentioned where I had sometimes played chess. And when I'm out, I'm looking for that vintage flame. But all complexions that I adore, so hard to find, these seem impossible to score. So I dream on to someday find that vintage love. I kept on looking, but everyone's such a bore. And out of a sudden, you came through the door.
Hello.
Hello, and welcome to Roll For It, where your favorite YouTube streamers get to play some lovely tabletop role-playing games. Today, a little bit different, a little bit new. We're going to be playing a Mage 5th edition hack. That is a combination of the rules of Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition combined with the world of Mage from World of Darkness to make a more modern and somewhat easier to play baby that is also just as freaky and weird. So with that, before we get started with the all-new show, which will hopefully be interesting, we're going to go through some of our normal, typical, everyday shilling. We'll go through our announcements, and we'll have a little bit of introduction to our cast as well, who have all turned out so dapper today. Damn. I like that everyone except Werewolf is like doing a thing, and you're just like,
Werewolf doesn't need to do anything.
It's
Oh,
true,
yeah.
I don't.
damn. Okay, so, right. Anyway, welcome. Let's crack on with some of our announcements. Today's supporter, which I think I need to whip out the voice for, is
Thunder Cabbage.
which I'm sure Katie remembers.
I do very well.
Thunder Cabbage, thank you very much for paying the majority of our cast cost for today and allowing us to do this. Thank you. Secondly, there are some general Patreon changes coming. They've been announced. If you wish to go check them out, they're on our Patreon. Free to view on our Patreon, but they're on the Patreon. And they include such things as increasing cast pay, because we're going down to 2 shows a week in theory. So if people are cool with that, we'll be increasing pay. In addition, the Mage rules and the character sheets will be available at some point, probably next week. I need to just polish them up for general release. I say polish them up for general release. They'll still be very rough, but since they're completely unofficial and stuff, they should be vaguely usable. Although the character sheet might need a Roll20 Pro subscription to use. Yeah, if you want to be able to do your own thing, they'll be available. Also, that brings me on to the music that we're going to be using for this Roll20 campaign. Thanks to a load of lovely people, we've got permission to use a load of really cool music, so I'm just going to quickly shout out some of those. First is Myuu, M-Y-U-U, who does amazing royalty-free music. Secondly, a shout out to both CD Projekt Red for The Witcher 3 and also to the folks behind Shadowrun Hong Kong, because we're going to be using both of those soundtracks, as well as Frostpunk, which have recently announced Frostpunk 2. So yes, their music is really good, and I'm using all of it, in addition to a whole load of music from Epidemic Sounds. So they'll get liberally throughout this campaign. And finally, we're sponsored by Roll20. So allowing us to do all this fancy shenanigans with playing music and also some of the cool map hacks that we'll be using. Roll20 is the virtual tabletop that we use to make this all possible. If you want, we have an affiliate link. It doesn't really do anything for us, but it makes them go, ooh, these Roll For It people, they also have a role and a number in their name. They must be on the same side, and they'll make them happy. But if you want to, you can use that to sign up. You can play free, but different tiers give you different amount of perks you can play with. Dynamic lighting, for instance, custom character sheets, and API access, which is entirely the driving force behind everything I've done for the character sheet here and why it looks so pretty. So hopefully you'll appreciate that. in addition to obviously like music in the background and stuff. So thank you very much to Roll20 for allowing us to do that. We will be giving away a copy of Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition on Roll20. I believe there is a tweet that you can go to. It's pinned on our profile, if I recall correctly, on Twitter, which will give you the details. But if you want to go check that out, that will tell you all about how to enter to win a copy of Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition core rulebook on Roll20. So, and there we go. Pav's doing a nice retweet there. With that said and done, I think it's time to go to the shilling. And with a magical shilling ability, I'll introduce you to the Mage Bentham Plays, who knows exactly how to make all of that gold glitter. Bentham, how do you do that shilling?
By telling people about the Patreon. Patreon's the main way that we're able to fund all the cool shows we do and have all the cool people that we have on those shows, and there are many of them. There's a whole bunch of tiers on Patreon that give you a whole bunch of different rewards, including but not limited to MP3s of all of our shows. After shows we record after every show, we talk about what happens in the show. Sometimes we also go off on massive tangents and barely talk about the show at all, but either way, we chat about RPGs and that kind of thing in general, and sometimes bacon can be discussed as well, it depends. You can also get character sheets, both allied character sheets and enemy character sheets, and other secret things from GMs about enemies, locations, and all that kind of thing, session plans, and campaign notes, and all that kind of thing. You can submit names for NPCs. You can watch monthly recaps where the admins talk about the events of the previous month and how all the shows have been going. And also, if you're crazy, you can support at Legend tier, which lets you support an episode every month, like Thunder Cabbage did this time, and to take part in a once monthly tabletop one-shot session that is not on camera. It's just a private game that you get to be part of with
that's way too much
cast
power.
member jamming. You messed up the timing. I was still.
I did.
It was close. You tried. You can. You can also support in other places as well as Patreon. You can do all of the Twitch things, of course. You can drop us bits in the cup at the bottom of the dice log there, which is surprisingly full today. Usually there's less stuff in it. I don't know how it's managed to build up the level so much. You can also give us tips. They appear on the screen. We read them out at the end of the show to thank you for being awesome and supporting the episode. Of course, you can subscribe on Twitch, which gives you emotes and badges, and it also gives you immediate access to the VODs, whereas normally you would have to wait 24 hours for them to appear over on the YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, you can become a YouTube member, which gives you emotes and badges over there as well. And being a YouTube member, Twitch subscriber, or Patreon supporter, or let you join the Discord, which has a whole bunch of different rooms in it. Soon to be more rooms. We're going to be making some changes to it, but there's rooms for all the shows in there, and a whole bunch of other stuff too. Occasionally you can get secret hints about upcoming shows, because there's super secret project roles that appear on certain cast members. Sometimes you also get to take part in games like the rear guard for the Sunday show, and also we recently had a battle take place in our Thursday Ascension show where people got to make some dice rolls and try their luck at not dying, and mostly failed. My understanding. You can also support just by being here, just by showing up and watching the show. You're already contributing, because it makes the number go up and the website go burr and the algorithm be happy, and then it shows us to more people, probably. Who really knows? But that seems like that's how it works, especially on YouTube. So watching in either YouTube or Twitch is super awesome and helpful, as well as pressing all the buttons, all the bells and whistles around the player that you're watching in. Usually tell the websites that we're doing a good and that people are into it, so that helps us as well.
That's way too much power.
Subscribing, following, keeping track of us, all that kind of thing. Just making all the numbers go up. It brings more people in. You can do that too if you bring your friends in, and then you can nerd out about tabletop role-playing shows together. All that kind of thing. We also always appreciate clips. You can clip on Twitch and YouTube now, and doing so is super awesome, because then we get little snapshots of cool moments that we can stick into compilations later, and that kind of thing. And occasionally we'll tweet them out. You might be the one that gets their clip tweeted. Yeah, that's around about all the things. We appreciate you all being here, and we hope you're into it. Yeah, that was it. That was the stuff.
There we go. So, with that said, I guess there is no more reason to delay as much as my anxiety would like me to. We're going to be diving right in. I will just say that this is going to play a little bit differently. It's going to be a little bit of a slow burn to begin with. So please trust in the power of these amazing cast members, and let's get things going. Go with that. So, it's a little before 10 a.m. in the morning, and we see a man step out of the train station in Webley Bridge, southwest of London. Werewolf, what does this character look like?
This character is muted.
Yeah, no, I meant to do that. He's a little bit on the bigger side. He's got curly hair. Most of it, on the sides at least, is pushed back. He's wearing his favorite green blazer and a nice hat today because, walking from place to place. He's got no mustache because that's a look, and I decided to go with it. So just go with it. And he's probably got the kind of look on his face that suggests that he is perfectly in his element walking through the streets of Webley. Because even though he doesn't live here, he's been here enough.
Okay. We watch him from above as he walks briskly down the short flight of concrete steps, pep in his step as he heads to teach his morning ethics lecture at University College London's South Campus. As his foot hits the pavement, a train passes. A pedestrian bumps into him roughly, complaining as he mixes back with the crowd. Which way are you going, you wanker? As you take stock of your surroundings, where do you head?
I lean on my cane a little bit more and push my glasses back up. I don't even notice the man who complains because there's enough of them in the city. And I head over to my morning coffee date with myself. Always stop for a morning coffee before I go to school, like a child. Because at the end of the day, I have to deal with children. They may be 18, but they're children. And frankly, you need as much caffeine as possible to deal with that.
So, you head over the road, and a little way down the street, you find the local Costa, just pretty much exactly perfectly pinned between the station and the UCL campus. As you walk in, we see a character behind the bar, serving coffee, look over and notice you enter. What does Ellen Margolis look like?
She's rather young. She's got a lot of blonde hair that she needs to keep tied up because she works this job. But even when she doesn't, she still likes to tie it up. She's dressed very well for a person currently working as a barista. Probably has a date tonight or possibly a job interview for someplace else. But she's got a nice pressed shirt on and some very, very well-pressed jeans. She presses her jeans. That's the thing. She's from out of town, or at least she was initially, but she studies here, and she can... You know that look someone gets when they see one of their favorite customers of the day? She seems to always have that look on, which is one of the reasons why I think Riyadh likes her so much.
Okay. As you walk in, they notice you. They give you kind of a little nod. And if I get the accent right... Hassan. Flat white, you going, got a lecture?
As usual, as usual. What about you?
I'll have it with you in a moment, if I can just... thank you. Bumbles over to the coffee machine and starts work on your flat white.
Yeah. Busy day today?
A little busy. You know how it is on a Friday. Especially now all the students have learned that it is better to get a lot of caffeine after a night out on a Thursday.
Oh, nice. Well, at least more work is busy work, right?
Yes, except they don't tip quite as well as you.
Literally, as soon as she says that, I drop like 2 pounds.
As you go to, you notice that your wallet is missing.
Bloody typical. Actually, you know what? I'm trying to cut back on caffeine. I think I'm good for the day.
Is there something wrong? You never skip your morning coffee. If you want, I can cover you. I know you're good for it.
I appreciate it, yeah.
no problem. And she just does something with a tail and then just pushes it around to you. Pay me back next week.
Of course. Seems like someone might have nicked my wallet. I think I'm going to show up late. I think I'm going to show up late to class. You have a good day.
Same to you.
I am going to text my TA to cover for the beginning, and I'm going to walk right back to the station.
Okay. As you head back to the station, our camera pulls away. And we cut to a spacious, minimalist but austere-looking office. In one corner, we see a man, red and slightly out of breath as he talks and talks and talks, spittle occasionally flying from his lips, filling a long leather couch. But he's not the focus of the camera. He drones on as a woman sits in an armchair opposite. What does she look like, Katie?
She's very slender but curvaceous and wearing a tight bodycon, like dress that is professional but is a little tight, and it matches her Louis Vuitton shoes very well. She's got a Chanel bag by her side and big horn-rimmed glasses, and her hair looks a little messy, but she's used to having it slicked back. But since the weather in England is a little bit different than where she lives in New York, it's very frizzy and a little bit more puffy than normal. And she sits there with a bright red lip on and a little bit of a purse on her face as she listens to this man drone on.
Okay. As she listens, soft music plays from speakers hidden around the room, and a crow pecks voraciously at the windowsill outside.
Anyway, that's just how I feel about it. What do you think?
Well, it sounds like you have not moved on. How long has it been since your divorce?
About a year. It's not my job to move on, it's my dog. She should be the one moving on, giving him back. Biggles is everything to me.
So do you love Biggles more than you love your ex-wife, or did during the
Of course,
marriage?
she's a bitch.
Okay. Clearly you have not grieved the loss of your marriage, but it seems like you have not grieved the loss of your dog, Biggles.
Yes. Biggles was a old companion of mine. She was a grateful.
He starts doing his breathing exercises, you know, some going.
Good, I like that you're doing the breathing that we talked about. I can tell and sense in you that this makes you very angry.
Of course.
Have you gotten more in touch with that anger?
How should I be in touch with my anger?
Well,
please caution me last time I got in touch with my anger after I sent her a piece of my mind when I phoned her up.
okay, so you talked to her on the phone, but, you know, just say for imagination's sake, have you ever thought, you know, about if you got Biggles back? Would you like to not hear from your ex-wife ever again?
Of course, never. I hope she goes off to some hellhole like Shropshire or somewhere and never comes back.
So have you ever thought of something bad happening to your ex-wife?
Uh,
When you're angry or in a rage?
What do you mean?
We all have natural inclinations to imagine things we would like to happen without acting on them. So, for example, you want Biggles back, am I correct about that?
Yes.
And your wife, or excuse me, ex-wife, is the one in the way of that, correct?
Yes.
So have you ever thought about if something had happened to her, you would claim ownership of Biggles then?
Are you trying to implant an idea in him?
Not right now.
Not right now.
I'm just feeling him out a little bit.
Okay. I think this would be a manipulation subterfuge to try and manipulate him to opening up about this and feel him out.
Okay.
So feel free to give me a manipulation subterfuge roll.
First roll of the day. Oh gosh. Subterfuge, manipulation.
3 successes.
Well, if she were to die horribly, I would get Biggles back, I guess. No, car accident or something, maybe. Maybe accident with the stairs. Maybe that pool boy she's so fond of. Maybe he drowned with her or something. Sorry. You just notice him kind of like...
No, this is very good. This is
glazing off.
progress.
Yes.
Doesn't it feel good to get that out?
Very, very good, yes.
People don't think that losing a marriage or a dog is like going through grief, but you have to work through that process. It's like that pit in your stomach, and grief works its way up and it chokes you, and you have to let it choke you sometimes. You understand?
Choking her. Yeah, Yes.
I would just recommend maybe journaling some of these thoughts and bringing them for the next session. If something were to happen to your ex-wife, it might be therapeutic for you to get it out.
Suggesting I should, get it out.
Yes.
Right.
It's good to get it out of your system.
Thank you. I might just do that.
He like nods, lost in thought, and gets up and starts walking towards the door.
Same time next week?
Same time next week, and I will look forward to reading your journaling.
Yes. I should get around to reading that book of yours.
Oh, I have a copy right here.
Oh.
And I reach over towards the desk and I open a drawer and there's just a stack of my book, The Power of Extraordinary Grief. And I hand one to him. I highly recommend reading it. There's lots of good coping skills and tools that you can use to work through this.
I'll have one of my women read it to me. Thank you.
Whatever is the best way for you to consume that, I just recommend reading it.
Yes. Very helpful. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yeah, same to you.
As he heads out, you hear the sound of Mindy Long, the secretary for Dr. Fates, and currently your secretary. Hi, sir. We've charged your card, so have a good day.
Whatever, yes.
He heads down the stairs.
Mindy.
Yes. We see
When's my
Mindy
next-
walk in. What does Mindy look like?
Mindy is short. She's slender and she's dressed in professional looking clothes, but maybe not as high fashion as or bougie as Dr. Thresher's wearing. She's got a short haircut at shoulder length, and she wears glasses as well, and she's a little mousy looking and a little sheepish in how she conducts herself.
So is it like her shoulders up, not in a permanent shrug, but almost like in a permanently, like she's defending her neck. She feels a bit intimidated. Yes, doctor. How can I help?
When is my next session?
Your next session. Let me just bring this up. 11 till 12. I believe with Mr. Lockwood. You've got an hour in between.
Okay, so I'm gonna review his chart, and then the book signing is still happening today?
Yes, I've confirmed with Red Letter, and they're expecting you between 1 and 2 for your book signing.
Okay, thank you, Mindy. You're a peach.
Of course. Anything to help? Like a nervous smile breaks across her face.
You can go.
Oh, of course. Do you want the door open or closed?
Closed, please. Always closed.
Close the door as the sound of the tapping from the crow on the window just continues in the background.
I would pull open Wallace Lockhart's chart and start reviewing it while peering over at the crow.
Okay. As you settle down to review Wallace Lockwood's chart, we'll cut over to another character. So as the camera passes through the window and flies across Webley, it goes to darkness. with only a low background hum. Faint music can be heard. With a sudden increase in volume and a flood of light, we see our character. Please describe your character.
Dr. Alfred Hackett is a large man, very well built. Looks like he could lift a car if he put his mind to it. And also seems a little bit out of time. Like he looks relatively young and in terms of complexion and that kind of thing of this time, but his clothing options date him, make him seem like he's impossibly old. He wears, at the moment, a dressing gown, or a bathrobe, as Americans would call it, and it's sort of a very, very heavy, older-looking thing, the kind of thing someone might smoke in like a fancy armchair. In other times, he wears suits and waistcoats and very sort of fancy kind of old-fashioned garb, and he sports a bald head and a glorious mustache.
Okay.
He reaches into the fridge and pulls out a beaker. Oh, Quicksilver. Puts it back, pulls out a different one, moves over to the kitchen table and puts it on his cereal.
Okay. And as you pour the milk over your cereal and sit down to eat, is there anything else you do other than just chew through your cereal?
I think once he gets finished with that, he moves through to the next room where he has lots of flasks and strange machines and things set up. There's a strange mix of old and new tech. There's ancient-looking boiling flasks and strange brass implements and weird things like oscilloscopes and things like that. There's even some sort of weird-looking electrical device where lightning arcs between two prongs. Probably not very good for the power bill. And he starts moving along through different sets of strange chemicals bubbling away or mixing and is making some notes on a piece of paper, like squinting and tapping on glasses and then making no change.
Okay.
Before settling down when he's finished with that work in a nice armchair and opening a very old, musty-looking book.
Okay. As you sit down in your armchair, smoking jacket and big, oversized bathrobe, we will cut back to outside the station, where Dr. Riyad Hassan is approaching. Wolf, what do you do?
Well, here's the thing. This is not the first time he's been pickpocketed. It won't be the last time he's been pickpocketed. But luckily for him, he doesn't have much in his wallet. So whoever stole his wallet is probably still prowling around the place, trying to find a better target. And I'm assuming it's the same one who called me a wanker. So I feel like I probably have a good idea of who he is if I roll right. Let's hope I do.
Okay, make me a streetwise or awareness wits. Your choice. Streetwise would be slightly easier.
Awareness wits. Streetwise would be slightly easier, but I've got 4 dice for that, and I've got 6 for awareness. Let's give awareness a shot.
Okay.
No modifier.
Okay, 6 with a critical. You, literally, as you approach the station, you see the individual wearing like a tracksuit, very kind of standing out against the crowd of like students getting off, rushing to lectures, etc. He seems to be loitering, just watching the entrance, looking for a mark. Doesn't notice you.
I would like to heat up my coffee by approximately a bajillion degrees.
Okay.
And then just spill it on him.
Okay. So you're gonna want to do a magic.
I'm going to. I believe that's Forces Arret.
it will be a forces alert roll, and because no one can really see your coffee being heated up, and provided you don't like flash boil it into steam or something right now, no one's gonna know it's coincidental. It doesn't cause any paradox. So just give me a forces alert roll. You're heating it up. I'd say it's probably just each success is gonna do extra damage. Oh god. Okay. How much damage do you want to do with this coffee? Because you can just choose at some stage not to add successes to the damage roll.
I don't want to. I want to maybe give him a scalding burn. I don't actually want to burn him to death.
So you probably only need like the first success to do that. Everything past that would probably literally cause his skin to start like shedding off under the intense heat. So you just boil it a little bit as you look down, put the lid back on as you walk towards him. Just give me a basic like stealth roll or performance to fit in with the crowd. No, it would be stealth, but it would be either stealth, manipulation, or it would be stealth dex, because it depends if you're sneaking or whether you're passing with the crowd.
I think I'm sneaking as best I can, but unfortunately I have I'm a 36-year-old man with a cane. I kind of stand out. And I have no points in stealth. So we're gonna go with dex.
Okay.
Nope.
Now, you can spend a point of willpower to reroll up to 3 die. If you want, you can reroll 2 die there.
You know what? Why not? Really? Let's do a willpower reroll. 2 dice.
1 success. All I needed was 1 success based on your critical earlier. Yeah, you sneak up behind him, very kind of soft-footed, and accidentally the coffee just slips out of your hand and goes all down his tracksuit from behind. He lets out quite a high-pitched yelp. Ah, fuck. Ah, what the fuck are you that for?
Oh, I am so sorry.
He starts to like back away as he notices you.
Oh, no. Here, let me help with that. I pull out a handkerchief and I just start dabbing at him. Not even where the coffee is. Listen, mate, I know that you're probably going through a rough time. But you could have just asked, you know? And I grip him closer. And I'm going to steal my wallet back.
Okay.
Or at least try to.
Look. So that feels like a larceny dex, although because you kind of like were manipulating him there a little bit, like hard time, etc. I would allow a larceny manipulation roll.
I feel like a larceny dex roll is exactly what I want out of this.
Okay.
And surprisingly, despite having no points in stealth, this professor has points in larceny. 1 success only.
1 success. Given that he's very wrong-footed right now and very confused, yeah, like it doesn't perfectly come out in your hand and he doesn't realize. You kind of have to pull it out of his like tracksuit a little bit and it catches and he looks down. Fucking didn't have any money anyway. Starts backing away before trying to leg it back into the crowd.
Hey, next time I see you at the station, I better not see you at the station.
He doesn't say a word as he heads into the crowd, somewhat wrong-footed by the professor with the cane, who also seems to have very hot coffee, as much as he knows. Checking through your wallet, you're only down by like the 1 banknote you had in there. Even the coins are still in there. You still have enough to even pay your cost of coffee bill. The cards are still in there and everything.
Yeah, I tuck it back in my wallet and head off to UCL.
Okay.
I can return to Costa and pay off my bill later.
Okay. Considering Hackett is just hanging out in the lab and Thresher's just doing paperwork, is there anything you two want to do in the next, say, half hour?
Possibly not that soon, but I do have something to do in the daytime.
Okay, not a problem. It's just that obviously Dr. Hassan has a lecture to get to. So I think we'll just continue with Hassan as we see him filter through the crowd of students and other miscellaneous people. You go past a car door which opens as someone is let out from the back. Obviously someone who's got a driver. And we see this man in a very well-tailored suit, kind of puffy red cheeks. Oh, Dr. Hassan, aren't you meant to have a lecture already?
Yeah, well, I was held up. Wallace, right?
No. Chester.
Chester. I don't like this guy. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ihi. This is the same man who just got divorced from his wife.
You do maybe know that he has a divorce recently, about a year ago, yeah?
How's the dog?
Bloody ethics teachers to a proper subject.
It just walks past you.
Enjoy Brexit. I'm sorry, I had to.
So, yeah?
No, I just had to class.
Okay, so as he heads to class, a cheeky grin on his face as he walks in. We see the class has been basically going through textbook and with a short presentation as the TA steps to the side and you take over as you begin to teach your introduction to ethics.
Thank you, Cameron. Where were we? I pull out my notes. Let me actually quick ethics subjects. I prepared for this. So, usually ethics is defined as right or wrong behavior, right? We all know that. But who determines what is ethical is the question. And is ethics something enforced by society itself, or is it something we have internally? Those are the questions that are probably going to be the most important as we go through this class. Virtue and vice are things determined by a higher power. Not necessarily religion, but government is a higher power just as anything else is. Justice and crime, therefore, are dictated by those around us. I go on for like a while. This is a first year class. I need to keep things simple.
Yeah. It's literally their first like ethics class. You're trying to introduce them to ethics at the same time as actually just giving them the foundation for modules to come. And while for them it might be a little boring, for you it is actually quite very boring as there's a lot of oversimplification involved.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So you go on to teach the rest of the lecture without incident. At this point, I think as we get to 11, we'll cut back to the Offices of Mind Evolution.
Before we end, I think I just end the lecture with. Now, I know all of you are probably half asleep by now, but don't worry. In a month's time, we'll be discussing hedonism. Sure, that'll be fun.
There's a couple of muted whoops from the back of the class.
All right, get off to your next classes. And I think that's where we end it.
Okay. Meanwhile, over the Offices of Mind Evolution, Thresher, there is a knock at the door.
Come in.
Dr. Thresher, we have Wallace Lockwood here to see you. You ready?
I am. I just finished looking at his chart, so send him in.
Yeah, very well. Mindy backs away, and in walks a somewhat gangly ginger youth. Very kind of high cheekboned, expensive shirt and jeans that probably cost the same as the very expensive suit of the person you just saw previously. He looks around. Dr. Fletcher. Am I okay to sit down?
Mr. Lockwood? Yes, please sit down. It's nice to meet you.
It's obviously nice to meet you too. He looks you up and down. Definitely lingers on the cleavage and the legs. He is at an age where he thinks it's subtle, and it really isn't.
How old is he?
He's probably like 19, 20.
Okay. Mr. Lockwood, please sit down, get comfortable.
Oh, thank you. This couch is quite soft.
It's so you can hopefully relax a little bit while you're here as we talk.
Yes. Well, Where do we start?
Well, I was looking over your chart. It looks like your mother passed away about a month ago. Is that right?
Yes. Mother passed away about a month ago. Yes.
So, maybe a very basic question, but what was your relationship like with your mother?
Good. She was mother. Very caring. Very nice. She looked after me and my sister. Then of course she gave everything to my sister. So.
How does that make you feel? That your sister, apparently, as I was looking at your chart, got all of, or most of the land?
Yes. She got the stables and the rest of the mansion. I only got a measly 4 million, so I had to buy a place in Oakridge. Temporarily, of course. I will be finding a better accommodation soon. But,
Oakridge is very nice, though. Don't you agree? I have an
Yeah,
Airbnb that I'm staying in Oakridge.
Oh well, it's probably okay by the standard of you Yanks. It's obviously there's no stable. Only got one.
Do you ride
pool.
horses?
Well, yes, of course. So I play polo every now and again with the lads.
So let me ask you this. You have, as you put, a measly 4 million and a house you don't love in Oakridge. Where do you see yourself going in the next 5 years?
It's hard to say. Mother used to take care of all that sort of thing. I was thought I'd get the mansion and live off the land and all the investments.
So, your sister got all of that, and how does that make you feel?
It's
Eliza is
bloody
her name?
unfair.
Ah. So, Eliza, was she your mother's favorite?
No, Mother spent more time with me, and I spent more time looking after Mother and more time at home with her. Eliza was
Well, there
always
has to be a
gallivanting
reason
around
why.
Europe. I'm not sure. I thought me and Mother had a special connection.
Have you grieved the loss of your mother fully? It's only been a month. It takes time to go through these things.
How did you get over losing your mother? Not sure how that. She looked a little bit like you, even.
Oh, she looked like me.
Well, it was obviously a little, not quite. Not what I meant.
Okay. Well, I hope that your mother was a nice woman. It seems like she did a lot for you.
Well,
Everything,
yes.
it seems.
Well, yes. It was Mother's job. Father's always busy doing business or whatever until he left, so.
How does it make you feel when you think about your mother right now?
I obviously still love her. She was very, she was a lovely lady, and she was my best friend.
So, it makes you sad.
Yes.
How does your grief manifest?
Sometimes, I just sit downstairs and look at the Monet, and I just sit there with a bottle of wine.
Do you cry? Do you get
Yes.
angry? Do you? Okay.
I mean, no, of course not.
It's okay to
Big
cry.
boys do not cry.
Is that a lesson your mother taught you?
Yes, and father.
And father. What is your relationship like with father?
He left a while ago. I don't believe we talk.
So when you're sitting by the
Occasionally with
Monet,
Liza, but
so it seems like Eliza and your father still get along, but you don't?
well, he left Mother, and I had stuck by her, and I took her side. Eliza, betrayed Mother. I don't know why she'd pay her back.
So when you're sitting by the Monet and drinking your wine, What are the darkest thoughts that you have?
Uh, I can have a bottle.
Clearly, you have not touched your grief in the ways that you should. You have to evaluate where it's coming from, and you have to fully embrace it before you can move on from it. All of the
How do I do that?
darkness. Some people say you find distractions or you find ways to cope and you still go out and do things. But sometimes when that darkness takes hold, you sit with it. You sit by the Monet and you stare at it with your wine and you drink until you can't drink anymore and you just do whatever you need to do.
What do I need to do?
Inherently, you know what you need to do. You have to be the one to get in touch with it.
I'm not sure. My mother always knew what to do.
It's very clear to me that your mother was important to you, but it seems as if you need to pave your own way now. You need to find what motivates you. To pull yourself up on the bootstraps and embrace your grief so that you can come out stronger on the other side. And when things get dark, that's when you start to finally see things clearer.
Okay. I'll go back to my home, and tonight I'll embrace my grief.
Embrace your grief, exactly. It seems like...
yeah. I don't suppose you want to embrace my grief as well?
I would like you to explain what you mean by that.
No, sorry. You reminded me of,
would you like to book another session? We could do...
maybe, yes.
Sometimes I do walking counseling. I'm in Oakwich. Perhaps we could go on a walk sometime.
Yes. That would be,
Being in nature is very therapeutic. All the distractions are gone.
Just you and me?
Yes, but only if you want.
Of course I will. Yes. You and me together, naturally. Of course. You see, like, the most prominent Adam's apple move up and down as he thinks this over.
Just a thought. Maybe one day we'll cross paths in Oakwich and we can go on a walk.
Yes. I'm going to. I'll book. I'll book the next session.
Yes, for the office here at Mind Evolution with Mindy. Pay your bill, and then perhaps we'll run into each other.
Yes. Thank you. You've been very. He said, standing up, not really hiding the fact that he's just looking at your cleavage now. Very.
I also notice.
Yeah. He heads towards the door. Almost trips over a plant pot on the way. Realizes halfway that he's still holding a cushion from the couch at waist level, and like awkwardly turns away from you and chucks the couch cushion back on the couch. Opens the door. I'd like to book 2 months ahead of time. Of course. Let me just I've been charged your account. Oh my. Sorry. He heads down the stairs.
Mindy, did he pay?
Yes. He paid for 2 months ahead of time.
All right, just set him up on a reoccurring for the same time.
Yes. Okay.
Are you all right out there, Mindy?
Is it okay if I take my break?
Yes, it's lunchtime anyway. I'm gonna head to the Twisted Root for my lunch. So.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'll just like stand up, grab my Chanel bag, and start sauntering out of the Mind Evolution building and heading towards Twisted Root for lunch without even glancing over my shoulder.
You head out without a second glance at Mindy. Head out of the first floor that Mind Evolution has, down through the bottom past the receptionist who manages the rest of the building, and head out of the somewhat nice area of South Gilden over to Twisted Root, which looks over Yorick Park. With that, I believe that takes us to about midday. Who else would like to do anything around midday?
It'd be a good time for Alfred to pick up his new suit.
Okay. So as our camera cuts away from a totally not phased Dr. Thresher, it flies over to the Webley commercial estate, a huge sprawling set of what Americans would call malls, but in the UK we just call a giant commercial estate, filled with buildings and warehouses and small shop fronts, several large car parks and intertwining roads in between. And as the camera focuses down on a somewhat older area that doesn't look like most of the area around it, it looks like one small building completely out of place. Old-fashioned brickwork and a big green sign at the top, which in kind of like a faded gold leaf says Hornsby and Sons. We see Alfred Hackett, obviously no longer wearing a dressing gown, I assume, heading in the front.
Now in his classic shirt and waistcoat, nice pants, shiny shoes.
Okay. As soon as you enter, you get to, Mr. Hackett. One moment, I'm just finishing up back here. As you walk in between aisles of dummies, all wearing, waistcoats, suit, all very much in an old-fashioned trim. There's nothing in terms of style that's newer than about 1950s. Definitely a lot of tweed in here as well. But everything is very well tailored.
I will sit by and wait patiently. I'll probably browse between the dummies and kind of look at the different styles and sort of think about my opinion of them. Imagine myself wearing them.
A moment later, you get you would look fantastic in that one. As we see behind you, a woman with hair pinned up into a tight bun. Very well-tailored, but very demure suit. It is not gaudy, it's not trying to draw attention, but it is pretty much tailored exactly to her form. And she has a length of measuring tape just over her shoulders. Mr. Hackett, did you want to pick up your suit, or are you looking to buy something else?
Just the pickup for now, but it doesn't hurt to browse.
Very well. I see you've paid for it already. I have it just behind the counter. She walks around behind the counter, showing the only thing that is at all modern in here, which appears to be the till. Nothing else is modern. The card reader and the till are the only thing here that look like they actually belong to this era. Is work going well? He pulls out a couple of suit bags and places them on the top.
Well, it's going. Can't afford to come here every week, but I can pick something up every now and then.
Well, the discerning customer. And of course, the suit from here will last you a lot longer than it will from an off-the-rack. Those ones, they'll keep charging you every year, and you keep coming back with a new suit.
Of course. They don't make them like you do pretty much anywhere. It's a shame. Took me a while to even find this place.
With flattery like that, next time I might even have to cut you a discount. So, paid for, all done. She pulls out a little plastic envelope of buttons. There's your spare buttons for the waistcoat, should any come off. Anything
Thank you
else?
very much.
Nothing at all?
Well, I definitely say it's worth every penny, but unfortunately I only have so many pennies.
Of course. Well, I wouldn't push you to afford more than you can. Suits are, they are very important to one. They aren't essential to life. Just take care of the pennies, and when you have the pounds, feel free to come back.
Yes, always loved the styles. They're definitely my kind of thing.
Some things never go out of style, and taste is one of them.
Exactly.
She gives you
Yes.
like this small wink.
It gets a smile from Alfred, and I think like he takes like the jacket part of the suit and like puts it on and like tests it in the mirror and gives an approving nod.
I had to let out areas around the upper arm and the lower arm on that one. Your arms are uncommonly large.
I appreciate you always accommodating whatever size is needed.
Yes. I'm not sure many off the racks would accommodate your sizable torso.
I'm not gonna complain about the extra fabric required.
Of course. Obviously, tweed doesn't stretch as much as a lot of the more modern ones, so I had to add a little bit. But it should do the job, and it will be, of course, hard wearing. If there are any issues, do feel free to come back. If it seems to pull in any places, I can always see if I can let any of the fabric out.
Of course.
Very well. Right. Well, I better get back to it. She says, looking around at the completely empty shop. Not as many people have the same taste as you do.
Well, I hope you're at least looking to keep in business. I wouldn't want to see this place go just because no one else appreciates the style.
Well, my father's business, so I feel somewhat beholden to keep it going. Especially now it's a listed building.
Well, I'll do my part where I can.
I appreciate it. Right. And as Alfred turns to the door, Hassan, where are you at this time of day? It's a little after midday.
Little after midday. Well, I'm probably just getting up from afternoon prayers. Which means I'm usually in the same classroom, the same lecture hall, because no one uses it for this short period of time, and spend 5 minutes repeating phrases from the Quran in various postures, brush myself off, and get ready for a good lunch.
Okay. Do you head over to Costa for that?
Oh no, I definitely have a packed lunch that I just eat on a bench somewhere.
Okay.
Watching
You in a
people
bench
go by.
somewhere. Look around, see if you can spot any of your former students or anything, and keep it yourself. Nothing really catches your eye. It's pretty calm. Do feel free to make me an awareness roll, though. Awareness wits.
Nothing catches my eye, I'm sure. Awareness wits. And no modifiers.
The only thing that seems at all out of place today is there is kind of a large black SUV parked over on what would typically be either disabled parking or faculty parking. And even then, most faculty aren't allowed parking at UCL. It's very busy around here and congested, so they only allow like the provost, etc., and a few other people. But there's a very large black SUV just there, which is unusual for the area.
Has anybody entered or left it? Are people
No.
still inside?
No, but it has tinted windows, which feel free to make me an academics intelligence roll.
I'd love to. Rolling a lot of ones today. This is great.
Two, yeah. In the UK, front windscreen and front passenger and driver windows have to be tinted at 75% or above. This one is fully tinted windows, like you cannot see into it at all. So normally this would be illegal. There are certain exceptions. It might be diplomatic. Diplomatic cars are immune to that.
Mhm.
But in general, this would technically be an illegal vehicle.
Well, now I'm even more concerned. Does it have a... Can I check its license plate?
You can grab the license plate from it. Are you trying to do it subtly, or just trying to be like, okay, weird?
Oh, I just have like a notebook in one hand, a sandwich in the other, scribbling
Okay.
things down.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly trying to hide.
Yeah, not a problem. You scribble on the license plate.
Interesting. I talked to one of the probably like someone cleaning up trash bins or something, and I asked, "Have you seen how long that's been there for?"
I think it's been there since certainly since I came on shift at about 10. I'm only doing the 10 till 6 shift today, but it was there when I got in. I was told that they'd already got pre-approved permission for parking. That's a tongue twister, isn't it?
Pre-approved permission.
Pre-approved
Right, yeah.
permission for parking. There you go.
It's a lot of P's.
Yeah.
Who would give pre-approved permission around here?
I might be a visiting lecturer. Possibly. I mean, I know the politics course have had ambassadors, diplomats occasionally come over and give little things or whatever to some of the students.
Could be a diplomatic vehicle. Hey, you know what? Want to play a game?
Sure, why not?
I bet you that doesn't leave before the end of your shift. £5.
I'll be tempted to take that offer. I think you'd probably be right, and I don't get paid enough to take losing bets.
All right, well, tell me if I'm right. How about that?
Sure, I'll keep an eye on it. Not on my way.
Does he have a name tag?
Yeah. Jeffrey.
Thank you,
Jeffrey White.
Thank you, Mr. White. Look forward to seeing you soon. Suppose we have a dinner date now. I slip my notebook back into my bag and curiously head off to my next class. This is strange.
Okay.
This is strange.
Your next class is in the seminar room on the first floor, F11, Truth, Deception, Ethics, and Philosophy in and Film. Yeah. So you head off to that. I guess we'll cut back to Thresher. Would you like to do your order at Twisted Root, or do you want to go straight to the book signing? Up to you.
I mean, I can quickly just say what she would order and then what she would do after.
We see her go to kind of like a decently chic upclass, but kind of still trying to look accessible, open-fronted restaurant, looking over this nice sprawling park as the sun starts to come out from behind the clouds. What do you order?
I like this place because they've got a lot of vegetarian and vegan options. And I would order the vegetarian sushi and sit out in one of their little tables that overlooks the park and just quickly eat my food, because as much as confidence that I give off, eating alone seems a little sad in a new place.
Apologies.
So I would eat quickly my sushi. And after I finish my sushi, I just quickly pack up and brush my dress off and then start heading towards the book signing.
I'm back, sorry.
I finished my sushi and I'm heading to the book signing.
Okay. Yeah. Your book signing is 1 till 2, is it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you head into a little like secondhand bookstore with a kind of a mezzanine balcony at the back, where you can see definitely like the older tomes are up there. A lot more care has been taken with them, several of them behind protective glass fronts. But down below, there's a lot of like quite narrow bookcases, a lot of old wood bookcases as well. You can see the paint's peeling on them. And in the front, there's been a little bit of space cleared. There's a desk being put in. The only thing that looks like it's actually moved in this place in a long while. And as you're greeted, there's a couple of people hanging around. There's only probably 3 of them. You're not as well known over here. But a couple of them recognize you. One of them actually takes a while to realize you're not in the queue. And as you settle in to sign your book, they go up to you like, "Thank you so much. It helped me really get a handle on my grief, really dig into it.
Is that
Treasure my
so?
life. Thank you.
I'm glad that you enjoyed the book. What was your favorite part of it?
Bit where you had to take responsibility for your own actions through your grief actually made me
Yes.
feel like I actually had like a lifeline to hang on to when I felt so alone.
That's wonderful. And I'll just sign a little note. What's your name?
Craig.
All right, this is to Craig. I hope that you continue to revisit the book as you need throughout life. It's very helpful.
Thank you. Goes on, and the others filter through. Right. Does anyone do anything before kind of like 2? Is there anything that Hackett wants to do or anything like that?
I think when you see Hackett get back to his little flat, you see him like kind of admiring the new suit in the mirror and like maybe drifting off into his own imaginations for a little bit while like standing proudly, and then he heads over to his little laboratory setup and is finishing off preparations on some new chemical compounds.
I
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd like to ask some of the other staff about how did this person get previous parking permission and who they might be.
Sure.
I get nervous around tinted vans.
Yeah. I mean, your seminar does finish a little before time because it takes people time to get to their thing. So if you want to just like pop your head into a few nearby classrooms, the first one you pop your head into, Chester is there, having just finished teaching his philosophy course.
What do you want?
I want to see how a real professor does it. I mean, philosophy, now that's a real course compared to ethics. I look at him
Of
dead in the
course.
eye.
Yes. You're happy to sit in and see how a real man teaches at some point.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
a bloody cat person.
I don't know. I'm very much a canine individual.
Sure.
Never mind. There's a van. There's like a. Did you see the car outside? Big black SUV, tinted windows.
Yes.
Any idea what that's about? Because it's been here since 10 in the morning.
Oh, apparently it's the some ambassador or something was giving a talk and meeting with the provost.
Me with the provost.
Yes.
Any idea who this ambassador could be?
Something about some tin pot Eastern European country wanting to do an exchange program or something.
Y'all laughed when I said enjoy Brexit. Tin pot, you can't narrow that one down at all.
There's one of them Russian thingy states. Estonia, maybe Serbia, I don't know.
Just sometimes I don't even know why I try. Listen, jokes aside, I hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
Because you don't look well.
Oh, fuck off.
No, I mean it. You genuinely have not looked well for quite some time. Is there someone? Do you talk to someone?
It's none of your business. I deal with my own grief. How I deal with my own grief. I have to take a handle on it.
Can I do an inside check?
Sure.
This is definitely wits insight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 2 successes.
Yeah, this is a man who is definitely driven by like bitterness, spite, and not even particularly restrained rage at what he perceives as injustices, but for everyone else is just everyday life. and they feel to him like personal attacks anytime anything is directed vaguely in his direction. When, you know, if all the staff are asked to, you know, finish lectures 10 minutes early or something so that the students can get to the buses for an event, he'll see it as an attack on his teaching style or whatever.
Listen, mate, I'm not going to be... Okay. No one likes you here because you are a pretentious, exhausting git. But that means you're probably very alone. And frankly, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. I think you need to talk to someone. That's all. And this is me, a professional courtesy.
Are you trying to genuinely be
Yeah, I am.
Okay, you're not trying to provoke him, you're genuinely trying to be somewhat helpful? Okay. Manipulation, persuasion.
Not charisma persuasion.
You know what? Charisma persuasion would work in this. You're right.
Thank goodness, because I've got one more dice. 2 successes. Average.
Yeah, he's not someone well disposed to taking that sort of from you as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably also like dyed in the wool, old school, kind of just prejudicial racist. So it coming from you is really just kind of hitting all his buttons. And he just kind of goes into like an apoplectic shock.
How dare you? Fucking diversity hire. Get out of my room. Go. Let me do my fucking job.
I will say this, mate. You know what? You're always good for a laugh. Diversity hire.
Okay, you little shit. You wanna fucking take it outside?
I would, but you'd lose. Good day. And then I head out.
He just like freezes that someone dare talk to him like that. You can just see his brain whirring like, did I just get talked to like that? You can see spittle flying from his lips as you leave. He doesn't even, there's no roll needed. He doesn't even know how to process that.
I was so close. So close to doing something I'd regret. But that's not what's happening.
Okay. So, you technically have your non-official office hours now. So do you want to head down to that?
Yep. Probably stop in the bookstore on my way in.
Okay. As you go down, you're a little bit delayed because obviously you had to speak to someone and ask around about the car. So as you head to the bookshop to pick up a nice book, we see a relatively well kept woman with Louis Vuitton like heels walking past you as you go in. That definitely catches your eye. Like she is someone who stands out in the crowd that normally attend this bookshop. But as you head in, you notice that the books are kind of pushed off to the side. There's a table in the front with a chair. There's a sign talking about the power of extraordinary grief. And there's maybe a few more people than usual.
Was that Teresa Thresher? I asked the person at the front table.
Oh, yes, you just missed her. She had a book signing today.
Damn, didn't know she was in town. You read that book?
No, not really. I'm sorry.
Don't. It's bloody shite.
Much more Lord of the Rings, kind of not into, pop psychology books.
Yeah, generally something with a celebrity on the cover is not exactly my cup of tea either, but I was recommended it. Sorry, I meant to ask, I was hoping if you had anything new in fiction, maybe.
Yes. Well, are you looking for just any sort of book to just take and sit with in Costa, or are you wanting something more, of decent provenance.
The latter.
Well, we have a second edition of Alice in Wonderland.
Nice. Looking to get a gift for a friend.
Of course. It's a little bit on the pricey side being a second edition. But you are a repeat customer. You've got the loyalty card. I can probably do it for, a little bit cheap for you.
Think about it. Thank you.
Okay. Shows you the book and the copy, etc. If you want to think about it, feel free to come back.
Right. She coming back anytime soon?
I don't think we have another one booked. We were talking about trying to get another one next week, but apparently she's only in the UK for a short amount of time.
No, that makes sense. Probably enjoys the freedom of the States too much.
Yes. Well, I imagine she doesn't have much time to kill while she's over here, being such a busy woman and all.
How'd you find her?
She actually, we had her secretary called up. Wanted to see if we were okay with hosting a book signing. Anyone to get more footfall in here?
Sorry, I'm just working on a theory. You have a good day.
Same to you.
Yeah, and I head over to the Costa to start off
Okay.
office hours.
You're greeted by Elin. I assume you pay for the coffee you had earlier.
Yeah, plus a tip.
She gratefully appreciates it, and you see them going about their day, cleaning, making sure that they definitely come out and clean your typical table for you, especially, which you suspect they probably left the cups and stuff that were on it just a little bit longer to kind of keep it kept for you, especially. And over the next few hours, you have your unofficial office hours, mostly doing grading, and one or two students do come in and ask questions, but it does seem to be that kind of part of the term where students haven't got quite to grips with, I can just come and get help, and also, I actually realize I need help.
Yeah.
It being, only probably a month into the term, maybe a little less. So, cutting back, if you're good there, Hassan.
I'm good.
Okay. I think Thresh has got a 3 o'clock. Hackett, do you have anything before then? Muted.
My next thing is at 5.
Okay. So, going back as Thresher makes her way back to the office, as you walk in, having completed your book signing, which was not as popular as your ones in the US have been. I don't know whether that would disappoint Thresher or not. Mindy immediately kind of stands to attention as you walk in. Wallace Lockwood called. He said to leave his number for you. I told him we already had it on file, but he
called to leave his number.
I told him we can also see his number when he calls up on caller dial, but
Yes, also it is in the chart. It's very clearly listed
Yes.
under his information.
well, he had to fill it in,
so-
and yes.
Did he say anything else?
Call him if you wanted a walk.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Yes.
Just
yes,
throw it away. Or did you write it down? If you didn't write it down, did you?
Well, I did, but I can just put it in the bin.
I cannot believe this. I'm gonna reach over and grab the phone number.
Okay.
I'm gonna crumple it in my hand. My next appointment is gonna be here soon, right?
Yes, Seraphina Asquith. She does normally run a little late though. So, I've put the aircon on to your preference, and I've already got the music loaded up for you. If there's anything else I can do.
No, that should do it. Thank you, Mindy. I'm just gonna walk into the room with the crumpled piece of paper in my hand.
Okay.
And then as I walk into the office, I'll stick it into my purse.
Okay. So, about 10 minutes late, Seraphina Asquith walks in, handbag swinging from her hand on a very gaudy, gold chain on it, tight denim leggings, and a kind of short leather jacket, hair braided into like multiple fancy braids that seem to just go down around her neck and kind of show off the length of it as well. Wearing a lot of makeup and very much the makeup you would wear for a photo shoot as opposed to like every day. Much thicker, kind of make sure it doesn't glare. She doesn't say sorry, she doesn't apologize, she just crumples into the couch. You would like not believe the day I'm having.
Hello, you're Seraphina, correct?
Yes.
I'm Dr. Thresher. It's nice to meet you.
You're filling in for Dr. Fate's right.
I am. I would also like to point out that you're late.
Oh yeah, but I'm like paying you whatever, so it's fine. How do we do this?
I don't know if does Dr. Fates let this slide with you?
Oh no, he's always on like my case, but
I would just be more respectful of other people's time.
yeah, like okay, sure.
No, I would like you to know that this is for your benefit. I don't care if you show up late, but you're going to be the one who suffers because you're not showing up and getting that extra 10 minutes of time with me.
Yeah, oh, okay then. Make a manipulation persuasion roll.
Okay. Persuasion, manipulation. 3 successes.
Okay. She does seem to lay off the point. But she just quickly substitutes something else in and goes on to. So I got rejected recently for a new deal with Christian Dior. They went with someone else instead.
Dior's great, but it seems like you have a lot of nice things already.
And
Well, tell me more. I read your chart. You're an Instagram influencer?
I like to consider myself a lifestyle model.
Okay, so what exactly does that entail? Tell me more about what you do.
So I try to live the life that other people wish they had, and so they can, through following me, get all the things they can't. So, you know, when I go on holiday, it's like they get a little holiday every time they follow me, and I post, you know, bits of it.
Okay, so then let me get this straight.
I'm really
you
helping the less fortunate.
Okay, that is a way to look at it. Do you feel like you're living that life, or do you feel like it's a charade?
Oh no, I give them like the true me. I try to make it like as authentic as possible. That's the experience. It isn't about a lie. It's more about having direct access to people like me.
So what I'm hearing is that it's an illusion of who you want to be, but maybe not the truth, even though you're saying you're living as authentically as possible.
Well, of course, like, you know, there's some things you don't share with people, and some things you share, or like, you know, you play up a little bit more than others. But like, you know, it's does it really matter? At the end of the day, they get what they get, and they like what they get.
As I was reading your chart, it says that your brother passed away recently.
Oh, yes, it was terrible. James died in a freak snowboarding accident. I've always said that they were way too dangerous things.
Snowboarding is quite common. It just seems, from what I read, that it was a freak accident.
Yes.
Were you close with your
Really
brother?
well. Yeah, he was so dear to me, and it really hurt. Like, I felt like this power of grief like took over control of my life, and it was so like all encompassing. And like, I mean, obviously with him being my dearest brother, it was just so difficult to move on. But of course, you know, through your book, obviously, helped me get more in touch with that. And you know, through the power of extra grief, I think I overcame it.
Really, I am so happy to hear that you read my book. Can you tell me what your process was to get through it?
Well, like, I just, you know, you had to like just process it, and like at the end of the day, you just have to like get over it.
Yes, that's a very vague way to put it. Was there a specific, walk me through it, walk me through each step that got you onto the other side, because it seems like you've made a lot of progress, which then makes me go, why are you here?
Like, because like as much as I might be over it, I think I need to like process it more with someone who understands, and like how it has affected me, because like it was so unfair of him to go and like what I'm trying to say is that it has really affected me personally, and people always talk about it all being about him. Frankly, it was so unfair for that to all happen when I was going through such a really hard time in my life.
So you,
Everyone just goes on about how it's affected him, but like secondhand like grief and trauma is real.
it is very real. I mean, it seems like
I
you
read
had
about it
some
on
other
Google.
things. Yes, Google's a very dangerous place to self-diagnose, but sometimes there is good information on there. Are you saying that when he passed away, you were already going through something very difficult?
Yeah, so I'd just broken up with my boyfriend, and it was just everywhere. He was this like famous YouTuber.
Oh.
You've probably heard of him. But it was the first time we broke up, and I was going through that. I was having a really hard time, and then everyone around me was going on about how my brother died, and it was really, really tough on me.
So it seems like you're resentful that your brother died.
Like, I wouldn't put it that way, but yeah.
So since he passed away, it's made your life harder.
Yeah, like, of course. Like, I was so close with him, and now he's not around. It makes it so much more difficult. Like, every day I, like, remember him and what he was like and how he made my life different. And, yeah, like, now he's not around. Completely different.
Well, it doesn't seem like you truly grasp what my book was teaching you.
Yeah, it was, like, about extra grief.
But have you fully investigated that for yourself?
Like, yeah, of course.
Well, it seems to me that you're more upset that your brother died and made your life more difficult, and in the process has just added something extra to your plate. Do you truly miss him, or do you just miss the idea of him?
Like, I mean, I guess I don't miss him, but like,
I think this could be advantageous for you. You are very clearly popular on the social media, and you have a great look to you. I would say lean into it. One of the ways that you can fully embrace this grief is profit off of your brother's death. Everybody loves a good sob story. Everybody loves to know that you've been through something that they can relate to. This could be a way that you can work through some of these feelings. So maybe reapproach Dior and say, you know, I've been going through a tough time, and I feel like some people could relate to me more than this other person you chose, and just see how that goes.
yeah, like, that's a great idea. And I was already thinking of that. My brother dying does give me like a new angle that I can play with them. And I already played it, obviously, with my ex-boyfriend, and like we're now together again. And if I bring that to Christian Dior, I think that's a really good idea. I will have to consider that, and I'll let my people know.
So you used this method on your ex-boyfriend, who's now your boyfriend again, and it worked?
Well, yes. You know, he was complaining that I cheated on him with, you know, doesn't matter, but like,
Did you cheat on your boyfriend?
I mean, he should have understood what I was going through with my brother being dead at the time. It's so unfair of him to break up after after that had happened to me.
I'm asking you a direct question, though, but there's no judgment here. There is privilege
Like, what
information.
is cheat? We weren't even really an item anyway. We were like, we were open, like emotionally, as a relationship.
Was he agreeable to this open relationship?
I mean, like he hadn't said yes to it, but like he hadn't said no. We hadn't talked about it, so that doesn't really like lock you in.
The way that I view that is he probably should get over it, in the sense that sometimes you have these animal instincts or inclinations, and you just need to wear it out, because eventually that will become an old hat, and then it'll just be tossed aside.
Yeah, like
It was probably good you got it out of your system.
I mean, no, we're still fucking.
Well, I guess you're still working through that.
Yeah.
It's best to keep that to yourself from your boyfriend, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Like I only told like a couple of people about it. So
Do you have a good PR firm?
yeah, of course.
I was going to say I know some people in case you needed some help with that.
I'm only here because they told me to like come here.
Oh, so you're not here because you want to be.
Well, like Dr. Face is famous and it always sells really well to like be going through so much emotional grief and trauma and go to someone who's like famously into all that kind of shit.
Dr. Fates is very well known. I've been very lucky to study under him.
Yeah. You wrote the book I read, yeah.
I would revisit the book and I would reread chapter 6.
Right. Okay. Like, sure. I'll do that. Are we done?
I look at the clock and see how much time is left in our
Like
session.
20 minutes has passed.
I think we're done, but I would say before our next session, read chapter 6. The chapter about what you can do when things get a little dark.
Okay. Yeah, I'll... You have it on, like, audiobook or something?
Yes, it's on Audible. They made me read it, so you'll just hear my voice.
Oh. Like, okay. You got, like, someone with, like, not an American accent.
Unfortunately, no, I'm just the one who read it, but I promise you can put it on 2 times speed if it's taking a little too long for you to read or hear.
Yeah, like, actually, I might do that. Okay, right. I guess I have to do, like, a few. I just can't do the one session because it'll look, like, false. So I'll have to book some more with Mindy.
Book more with Mindy, and then you can play it up that you're working through your trauma, all that, blah, blah, blah. And I think that could be a very healthy way for you to work through this unresolved grief that you're going through.
Okay. And she just kind of, like, gets up, like, thank you or whatever. Goes to the door, opens it, walks out. You hear a short conversation with Mindy. And there's just a slight pause. And then a knock on the door immediately. Dr. Thresher, your 4 p.m.'s here. She's a little early, so I told her just to wait. Let me know when you're ready.
Yes, let her wait. I got a little bit of paperwork to do to wrap up my last session.
Of course. I'll get her a cup of tea or something. She seems quite...
is this
Miss...
Florence?
Yes, Mrs. Locke.
Has Dr. Fate's been seeing Florence for long?
No, she's a first-time booker. She only called the other day.
Okay. All right, that should be interesting. Thank you, Mindy.
Oh, can I get you anything?
No, I'm okay. Thank you so much.
Short break. You do some paperwork. No one else has a 4 o'clock, do they?
Nope.
No?
Not here.
Okay.
And I don't think Hackett does anything.
Okay.
Doesn't do much.
A little while
He
later.
does have stuff. It's all in the evening. That's the problem. It's all after
That's
the
true.
workday.
I did evening load your stuff because you were still in a dressing gown at like 9:30. So I was like, okay, Bentham time. Gotcha.
Realism.
Exactly. I like to play it true to character. the next lady comes in, and this is a stark contrast. This woman has got to be like mid-70s, maybe 80. Her skin is worn. She's a little bit careful about her movements, belying her age, being very cautious about how she moves around and forwards. One of those very much like very utilitarian walking canes with like the arm strap for someone who's got a weaker like ability to move and propping herself up. She kind of gently opens the door. I'm not interrupting, am I?
No, you're Florence, correct?
Yes, Florent Log. You can call me Flo. Nice
Flo,
to meet
Flo,
you.
come on in.
Oh,
it's
you're
nice
American.
to meet you too.
Oh,
I am. Yes.
oh, my ex-husband was American.
Where from?
He was from Connecticut.
Ah, Connecticut's got some lovely countryside.
Yes, he was in the Air Force. He was staying on a base here when we met.
Oh, so you were married to an American and you stayed here?
Yes, he decided to stay here when he left the Air Force. He was what's the word? An advisor or a contract, something like that. But he passed away about 20 years ago. Bless him.
Oh, is that why you're here? Has it been a difficult time for you to process that?
No, my roommate, my gal pal, Mabel, passed away the other week.
Wait, so you had a roommate who passed away?
Yes. We'd been living together for the last 15 years, ever since her husband died. We were always close. We grew up together.
It's always good to have someone close in your life and that companionship.
Yes. It's just been really difficult.
Did what was your gal pal's name?
Mabel Peabody.
Mabel. All right, Mabel. Did Mabel have a husband as well that passed away?
Yes. Her husband died in a car accident about 15 years ago.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, get comfortable and let's talk about this. It says here you're a new patient, so this is your first session?
Yes. No, you're expensive, but after everything that happened, what if I was going to get in touch with my grief? And Mabel always said that if she was the first to go, then she'd want me to, be okay with it.
Have you read my book or any of Dr. Fates' writings?
You wrote a book?
How did you hear
reluctantly-
about us?
Oh, my one of my grandsons. He apparently looked you up on this thing called Google.
So I was the first one who probably came up in the search
Mind
results.
Evolution came up, and it was Dr. Fates and this other doctor who apparently Dr. Fates.
Dr. Rosalini, right?
Dr. Rosalini.
Yes.
But decided that, based on what I'd sorry, I'm not making much sense. Why should
It's
I be
okay,
here?
grief does that. Of course, it's always good to talk through things. Can I do an insight check of some kind just to get a feel for
Insight
Florence?
wits.
Okay. 4 success.
4 successes. You instantly twig that, her and Mabel weren't friends. After their husbands died, they were definitely more than friends, but they're from a generation where they're just friends. And she does seem quite strongly affected. She's definitely at like an early stage where she's not really able to get to grips with it. Like, she is kind of denying grief at the moment by kind of being distracted, questioning why she should be here. But she genuinely is probably deeply in kind of like a very down moment of grief.
You would notice Dr. Thresher shifts a little bit more than she had. She normally just sits with her legs crossed for patience and doesn't really move. And then with Florence, I'm adjusting a lot more and looking Florence up and down and more intently than I have the other patients. So you're unfamiliar with what we do here. It's a very different style of therapy.
Well, willing to try anything. So,
It's almost like Dr. Thresher always knows what to say next, and she's taking a little bit more methodical thoughts, picked things before she just says things. Tell me more about Mabel.
She was always so kind. She used to rent the downstairs flat out to this nice young man, Mr. Pilkin, and I met her. Again, we'd been out of touch for quite a while through him. She used to always have bring him a cup of tea in the evening, and when I moved in, she would always keep me, warm. She'd always bring a blanket in the evening when I needed one. My knees get so cold, and they ache a lot.
How old are you, Florence, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 82.
I'm so sorry to hear about the loss of Mabel. How does it make you feel at this moment in time? How are you feeling about it?
Sad.
How does that sadness feel? Does it sit in your gut, always reminding you that it's there? Is it on your shoulder? Does it follow you around?
It feels like there's a deep pain inside of me. Like someone's removed some of my stomach and just empty.
It's very clear that Mabel meant a lot to you. This is a very private area. You can tell me what your relationship with Mabel is a little more concretely, if you would like.
Make a charisma persuasion roll.
Okay. 3 success.
We were sharing the same bed.
I understand. So this kind of grief is a little deeper than maybe other kinds.
Yes.
As I'm sitting here looking at this sweet older woman who's dealing with a very genuine sense of grief, I would like to try to manipulate her to not come back here.
Okay. You would like to push her emotions with your mind ability? You can't give a direct command at your level.
I just want to start influencing her that there might be better options than this location.
Okay. Sure. Make me a mind direct roll to kind of just get that initial. If you combine entropy with it, you can make her more likely to take and want to take other options. It's only low at level 2 because you have 2 entropy, 2 mind, but you can also make it so that she's more likely to want to take other options or to feel better about those choices.
Okay, so how would I roll that?
Same. The one of the spheres, so in this case, mind or erect, because they're both 2 plus
Okay.
the erect, yeah.
All right.
So mind erect or
I got it.
erect. You are also doing your casting stuff for this, right?
Yes, I have my necklace. I have my hand on my face, like all the things that I normally would do to influence the magic.
Okay. In this case, she is there and witnessing that, and she will seem to find it a little bit odd, so there will be a chance of some paradox.
Okay.
So feel free to roll the spell, and then we'll do paradox in a moment.
And because of my subtle avatar, it's -1.
Yes, it'll be -1 to the roll.
I got 1 success.
1 success. It's enough for it to a little bit of a nudge. But again, at your level, everything is a nudge. This one's just a very faint nudge. If you can just socially manipulate her, it will make the difficulty of socially manipulating her easier. Now, test for paradox. It'll be just a 1. So roll 1 dice for paradox.
Okay.
No change. You gain no paradox.
Yes. Okay.
So as you subtly reach into and kind of prod and make her more likely to want to take other options or feel better about other options, the world doesn't react to your use of magic in front of someone. It pushes a little bit, but that pressure eases.
I would
guess-
recommend.
Go ahead.
I would hand her my book. And as I'm handing her the book,
How much do
This
I owe
is-
you?
you
Uh,
don't owe me anything.
Oh no,
actually-
I can't.
This is a gift. It comes with the fee from today. This is part of it. And I'll
Oh.
hand her the book.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, it was makes sense.
I would look that over and see if this is the right fit for you. But I do know Mindy has some recommendations for some other people in the area who might be better suited for this. And I get hung up on my words. The grief that you're going through.
Oh, do not do that here. Oh. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to waste your time.
You have not wasted my time. Honestly, it was very nice to meet you, Florence. I just want you to get the best treatment that you can.
Make me a manipulation or charisma persuasion roll.
Okay.
Just to kind of get her to seek other help. Difficulty obviously modified by your previous spell on her. Ooh. Okay. Definitely enough. And she kind of weighs it, and you see her nod. A little bit on the expensive side anyway, and makes sense. I'm sorry for wasting your time.
Please stop apologizing. That is one of the first things I would like for you to work on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Very, very nice young lady.
Why don't you, this is what I need from you. Why don't you read this book? And if you decide that you would like to continue to see me, you can come back. But the first thing
Okay.
that I would ask of you is you cannot apologize while you're in my office.
Thank you. You're a very
So
nice
you can
young
see like
lady.
me waffling between I want to help her and I want her to run away. I want to help her and I want her to run away.
Okay.
Make an appointment with Mindy. Tentatively. Read that
Yes.
book and then call back and cancel or confirm.
Well, of course, yes. I will do so. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice young lady. I hope you have a nice time in Britain.
I smile at her, and as she walks away, my smile falls. Mindy, get her some recommendations from some other therapists in the area.
Okay. Hi, Mrs. Sure. Yeah. Just give me a second. You're typing. And, oh, thank you. Very nice girl. Thank you so much. I got a free book. Yes, of course. It's away.
I would walk out to Mindy. She's going to read the book, and then she's going to call to see if she wants to come back, or she's going to cancel and find one of those other therapists that you have recommended.
Okay. Yes.
If
She
Dr. Face
said-
has any problem with that, you have him talk to me.
Oh, yes, of course. Dr. Rosalini said they wouldn't be in today. They had their assistant call. They said they had no clients later who could make it.
Okay, so do I need to stay and help with any of Dr. Rossellini's
Oh,
patients?
no,
or...
I'll close up. It's okay. I don't really have anything on tonight anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna just go finish up some paperwork, and then I'll be heading out for the evening myself.
No, of course. Let me know if you need anything.
I don't think so. Just see yourself out whenever you're done. You can leave early if you need.
Thank you. Okay. I assume this brings us to 5. And I believe... Hassan, do you have anything at 5 you want to do?
I think at 6 I wanted to check on that car, but that's it.
Okay. So what are you going to do until then? Are you going to head back to campus or down to the masjid?
I think I will head back to campus.
Okay.
I think I'll head back to campus for the evening.
So as Hassan gets up and leaves the coffee shop, we see a large gentleman move past him as Hackett heads into the coffee shop.
Should we roll to bump into each other?
You don't have to roll because Hackett is so large, it's easy to avoid because you see him coming. It's the advantage of effectively being like a giant iceberg with a giant yellow stripe, kind of just handlebar mustache kind of gives it away. Yeah, as you get into the coffee shop, I mean, you definitely take note of him. He stands out. The barista nods. Is there anything I can do for you? Would you like a drink or?
Sure. Order some sort of coffee.
Some sort of coffee. Okay. I'll bring it to you. And you sit down and you get your stuff out.
Make sure that it's in like a teacup with a saucer.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
they give you like an espresso and a teacup and a saucer.
Yeah, he pulls out some sort of notebooks and like an A-level chemistry textbook and some other things like that, writing implements and weights.
Okay. 5 o'clock passes. No sign of the student you meant to be tutoring. 5:05. 5:10.
Like he pulls a watch out of his pocket. It's on a chain and checks it.
I assume you have a mobile phone so that you can talk to your...
He does.
Yeah.
He just, prefers... It's like having a watch. It's you prefer it.
Yeah. At 5:12, you get a text.
He rolls his eyes and is going to reply.
Would you like
saying,
to read it out for the class?
Yeah. We'll say so. Yeah, he has a text from his the pupil he's tutoring, James Asquith. Sorry, can't make it today. Been sick with food poisoning all day. Vomit emoji. Can do same time tomorrow. Sad face emoji. And Alfred's gonna reply saying, could have done with knowing sooner, but tomorrow is fine.
You get a reply back about 5 minutes later. Sorry, Mr. Hackett. I'll do better.
I hope so. He's gonna sweep all the stuff back in a bag and he's gonna head back out again. He'll finish the coffee and hand back the cup.
Hassan, you head over. Make me a awareness wits. It does look like the black SUV has moved.
I would love to. Oops.
5. Wow. Okay. Yeah. It's now moved to the opposite side of UCL South, but it is still in the UCL South parking.
Why would it just move around? This is getting strange. Hmm. What resources do I have to figure out exactly what? You know what? Talking to the provost, I'm going to go to the provost's office. The secretary, right? Probably. Assistant, something.
I mean, it's after 5 now. But let's pop and use the tool that I made. Lecture Hall 1B. There is a private function 5 till 7, which the provost is at, but it is a private function that should really not be disturbed. But you know the provost is going to be at the lecture hall with it booked out for a private function.
What kind of private function? I'm assuming it's not the kind Dr. Hassan is invited to.
Make a... This is really like charisma academics to see if you have been in the circle to know.
I would love to. Here's a question. I have a dot in status in UCL. Can I add that to
That
this
would
roll?
get you +1, yeah.
Yes. 3 successes.
Okay. Yeah, you know it's a kind of like alumni donors meet and greet. Just keep everyone happy and see if we can get some more money out of them for the new lecture hall, the new buildings, etc. You know, bottles of champagne that probably cost 100 quid each, etc. These are people are pretty well off. Like everyone at this is going to be resources for.
Oh, great. Would I be invited?
Oh, hell no. No.
No.
Chester probably is invited because Chester Marfont keeps going on about the fact that he is technically a count.
Good grief. That said, it is my lecture hall. I have a reason to be there, and I think I will be tonight. Oops, I left something behind.
Okay.
Let's get into trouble, shall we?
As you walk in, you stick out like a sore thumb. Everyone in there is in either very well made but like downstated suits, or very, very well made shirts, no suit. But those tend to be the people who are well known enough they can get away without a jacket. You really do not fit in. And Chester, you can see in the corner, glaring at you, beginning to go red.
I take off my jacket and place it over my arm, and I push up my sleeves. And there's actually, I don't think we've actually seen Riyadh's tattoos before, but he is covered with them. He wears clothes usually covering his entire body. If he didn't, you would see geometric tattoos all over the place, and very reminiscent of if you go to see some architecture in places in the Middle East, you'd see sort of structures very similar to the tattoos he has all over his body. But he's not blinking. He stands out like a sore thumb. He made sure to make sure that he stands out even more. The tattoos is not going to exactly help his blending in capabilities, and is quietly going to go to the front of the lecture hall to see if he can find that missing book that he left behind. And I would like to keep an eye out to see, is there anyone here I would know other than staff members? Anyone that stands out?
What's your resources level?
0.
Roll me just your status then. Roll me just the 1 dice. To be able to do a roll of just 1 dice, I have made a macro, which is the quick roll macro, if you just want to use that.
Yep.
One.
Best could have gotten
With
circumstances.
1, you probably recognize one of your ex-theology students who did a combined theology course and is now like special advisor to probably the Home Secretary or someone. well connected enough that they're here not because of themselves and their power and money, but because of someone else's power and money. Let's say Jennifer
McClintock?
McClintock, yeah.
Yeah. I give a wink to Jennifer as I walk by. I'm assuming she remembers me. I'm at least memorable from that aspect. I'm so sorry to barge onto your party. I left a book behind. I can't seem to find it anywhere. At least I think I did.
Don't have to worry about him. He will do fine. What do you need? It has been a while. This is not exactly your sort of scene.
No, it's not. Honestly, I keep to see what all the fuss is about. It's not every day a big black SUV appears on campus. Also, I kind of wanted to fuck with Chester over there a little bit. He's earned it.
You see her, like, making sure that she's facing away from him. She rolls her eyes in the most heavy eye roll that you're pretty sure she'll almost sever her optic nerve. Yes, I understand that, but technically I am here working. What is this about the black SUV?
I'm just wondering who it belongs to. It's hung around on campus all day.
Have you talked to campus security?
It was going to be my next stop.
We're talking to them? It's not as if I go here anymore.
Yeah, I appreciate it. How are you doing?
Okay. I work for that bastard in the home office, but it's a job.
Listen, doing well for yourself could sometimes feel like a massive failure because you get so distracted by everything, but you've achieved quite a lot. Be proud of yourself. I sure am.
You have a lot of reason to be proud of yourself. And then it's like a very flat delivery followed by a slight smile.
I meant that I was proud of you. But, thank you. I turn around, face, because she's got her back to him. I look at Chester in the eye, and I give a big grin. It is so good to see you here. I'm afraid I have to go. Not actually invited to this thing. And then I grab my jacket and head out.
He is still fuming from earlier and doesn't really say anything except for scowl at you, but you can tell that there's so much energy in his scowl, like champagne just kind of drip out of his glass as he's holding it at an awkward angle as he's like tensing. Kind of drips down the side of his hand before he realizes.
Oh, does he take even one step forward?
He's actually too apoplectic to really even do that. He just kind of fumes at you.
It's tempted, but no, I'm gonna keep on walking.
Okay. You want to go to campus security, right?
I do, yeah.
Yep. You can find their little office. It's two guys. One of them is probably patrolling right now, so there's only one left in there. He's got his feet up. Sees you come over. What can I do for you?
Oh, I was just concerned. I've seen the same as I was going to say SUV sitting out there for ages.
Isn't SVU one of those crime scene detective things from America?
I don't watch American television.
Right. Well, nothing else to do in here. Yeah, no, it's been checked out.
Oh, it's perfectly fine. Sorry to bother you. Do you mind if I ask what exactly it is?
Diplomatic plates. They had a diplomat come and do some sort of lecture or something, and he's got a meeting with the provost. They might asked if they, would be okay with parking it here overnight. Apparently, they're offered to pay parking fees at London rates, centre London rates, and everything.
But overnight. Interesting. No, doesn't really matter. I'm not important enough to know, probably. You have a good day.
Puts his feet back up, goes back to watching the monitor in the corner. So, where'd you go next?
I don't know why I'm fixated on this van so much, but this SUV so much, but I really am.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get up close to it and take a look inside? Even with the tinted windows, if I'm very close.
Yeah. Make me a Dex stealth check.
This is gonna be bad. I should have put points in stealth. Who knew? Their modifiers. Nope. I'm gonna spend a willpower to re-roll that
Okay.
because that was at least there we go. At least one.
As you start heading towards the van, the SUV, I need to make a roll.
Oh, wonderful. Holy hell!
As you try and sneak forwards, the SUV just gently pulls back and moves away at a rate faster than you can really catch up to it subtly before heading out.
Okay, that's even more curious now. If I reduce the rate of friction on the street ahead of it, it would probably do something terrible, right?
It would slide. It would be like it hit ice.
I mean, it's worthwhile to check on a car that looks like it just hit ice if it manages to survive that. So let's give it a shot, shall we? I'd like to use forces to. No, actually, you know what? I won't. I think I'm taking this too far. I'm not going to worry about it too much.
Okay.
Let the car go. I'm this close. I'm this close. My player curiosity is getting the better of me here.
Okay.
But I think as the night falls, I'm probably gonna have to pray in place, and then I head back to the station, head back home.
Okay. So as it gets late, night will fall at about 6:45, so it's only about 6. So you do about 45 minutes. So you don't have to rush, but you subtly take your time. You pray in place, and as the sun's falling, you head towards the station. Hackett, as you get back to your haven, you see your landlady in front of you, fiddling with keys, trying to get to the lock to the building. Oh, Mr. Hackett, would you mind? I've any keys.
Oh, no problem. Which landlady is this? Is this,
Florence.
Okay. No problem, Florence. I've got it.
Thank you. You're such a kind young man. Thank you. Oh, I was having some problem with the fuse box the other day. I don't suppose you could look at it.
Oh, no problem at all. I'm a dab hand with that kind of thing. I'll take a look at it.
Thank you. It's no rush. I don't want to put you out. Would you like a cup of tea? I know Mabel usually does the tea, but if you would like a cup, I don't mind bringing you a cup of tea.
Oh, that would be lovely. Thank you very much.
Of course. I'll be right down. Goes upstairs. You head into your haven.
Yeah, I'll go take a look at the fuse box. Is it in my part of the house?
It's below the stairs into the basement, but before you get to your door. So
Okay.
It's like in your stairwell, effectively. Like the stairwell doesn't go anywhere other than your converted basement. If you would like to have a look at it and try and fix it, that would be a technology int roll.
All right. Technology. Intelligence. 3 successes, not bad.
Easy enough. A couple of the breakers are flipped. you just flip them back. Literally a one
Did I?
digest.
I feel like one success probably would have been enough to be like, yeah, no, the breaker's flipped. Let me flip it back. Fixed it. I am a technological genius.
Yeah, like you literally just open it, you flick the breaker. You're probably used to this by now, even, and you just close it again.
It's like, really,
Sorted.
Florence just doesn't want to risk the stairs.
Yes, and also you think she just likes the company, just the conversation. And to an extent, you are kind of like a surrogate son. Like, she worries over you a bit. Her and Mabel. Although Mabel is definitely the more touchy-feely of the two, if that was the right way to describe it. She's definitely more caring, I guess would be the word. But a few minutes later, there's a knock
Florence
at your door.
is the one where when she's hosting you, she constantly gives you more food and drink and never actually sits down. It's just like,
Yeah.
would you like more tea, more biscuits?
She's
more
the
tea?
doer, and Mabel is the carer. That's the good way of putting it, yes. But a few minutes later, you hear the sounds of a saucer, like, rocking a little bit, as then there's a...
I'll answer the door.
Oh, here's your tea.
Thank you very much.
I got a scone as well from the baker's. I've put some cream and jam on it for you.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Just bring the saucer up when you're done.
Oh, of course. And I haven't seen Mabel in a bit. Tell her hello and all that.
Make an insight wits check.
Okay. Wait, insight, what was it?
Wits.
Wits, okay. Oh, 2 successes. I'm pretty
You needed
terrible at that,
two.
but it worked out.
There's definitely, like, a shadow passes across her face as you say that. I will do.
Everything
you.
alright? Is she doing well?
She wasn't feeling too well last week.
Oh no. Well, I wish her the best, and same to you.
Thank you. Turns and heads out, carefully walking up the stairs.
I just watch for a second to make sure she gets up the stairs okay.
She does.
I'll
Takes her
shut
about 40 seconds, but
I'll shut the door and head over to the laboratory thing. Put the tea down, and then I'm gonna be finishing off some work and pouring certain things into other things, and there's like some like crystals that are formed in the bottom of a flask, and he taps those out onto like a little package and like wraps it up.
okay. So, as we see Hassan get on a train and head off back home, I think there's like only 1 or 2 more things left in the day. Anyone have anything they do this evening?
I've got an 8 o'clock.
On 8 o'clock. Is Thresher heading somewhere tonight?
I would probably head to Afterglow. After that last appointment, I'm like, I just want a drink. And so I'd head over there to get some food and a drink.
Okay. Yep. You head into Afterglow, a ritzy wine bar overlooking the Chathurst Gardens. In fact, if someone can do the description pop up into the chat using the map. Speaking of which, have we shown the map yet?
We have now.
There we go. Fancy map. There we go. A large upmarket wine bar that also serves stone-baked pizzas between 4 and 10. Afterglow operates from 3 p.m. until 12 a.m., catering to a well of patrons. It has a large open balcony overlooking the Chathurst Gardens with an awning for when it rains. And we see Dr. Thresher head over there, definitely needing a drink after a somewhat trying and then emotional day. As you get in, the very large bartender looks round, white shirt, waistcoat, barely fitting him as his frame kind of almost pushes out in places. He You're back again.
I
Same
mean,
thing as
how could
always.
Yes, how could I say no? I have to see you at least once a day.
Oh, of course. And that is what my alcoholic patrons always say.
Oh,
But it gets
you
the
see her
vodka
face
martini.
fall a little bit when you say alcoholic, but I still sidle up to the bar.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Grim sense of humor having to work here as a bartender. I'm sure you have the same thing being a psych.
Yeah, being a therapist, you hear a lot of things. Sometimes taking the edge off at the end of the day is a need more than a want.
I know what you mean. Pushes the 2 olive vodka martini over to you.
What's the special tonight?
Well, we've got the stone baked pizzas as always on a Friday night. Pretty popular. I think tonight it's olives and chorizo.
I'll do that. Maybe hold the chorizo.
Fair enough. And writes down, puts it over the counter behind him. So, long day.
Yes, I got to meet a lot of new people today and hear a lot of new stories, but I think it went well.
Just that.
I can't say more than that. There's a
I know you
confidentiality
can't.
agreement, and if I were to divulge all of my patients' secrets, HIPAA law would come for me, and then I would probably go to prison. So,
But we have a bartendee confidentiality agreement, don't we?
true. But I value my job a little too much to worry about that. Hey, if you become a psychologist, we can talk to each other that way. But until then, I'll just have to tell you about the weather and ask you how your day is going. And, the politeness conversation.
Well, day's been okay. Planning to rain later, so I had to bring the brolly and set the awnings out.
What was that word you said? The
Brolly.
volley?
Brolly. Umbrella.
Brolly.
Otherwise known as a brolly.
That's a new one for me. So I'm learning another language today, too.
I know. Your Yanks, a few differences.
Yes,
Pavement,
we just call 'em-
sidewalk.
Sidewalk? You say sidewalk here.
No, we say pavement. You say sidewalk, don't you?
So you're walking down the street and you say, I'm walking on the pavement.
Hey, exactly.
Can you use that in a sentence for me?
The pavement's just outside.
Okay, that is definitely weird sounding to me. However,
I mean, at
can
least we don't
appreciate-
name our things after literally what they do. Oh, what is it? It's on the side of the street and you walk on it. It's a sidewalk.
I would like to say that maybe we lacked a little bit of creativity, but it's very clear and direct, which honestly
Very
sometimes is needed.
True.
I would look out at the view. Can you see, what do you see outside of the window?
It's getting dark, like the sun has set, and you can kind of see out from there trees overhanging, quite a beautiful garden. Not overly done flowers everywhere, but kind of carefully tailored hedge, low hanging trees with shrubs around and a little bit of water between the two.
So is this park a nice place to walk around in? If I ever needed a stroll?
Aye, it is. Careful about who they let in. It's technically a private park, but it's a pretty good park overall.
Private in the way of you have to pay for admission, or private because it's privately owned?
The latter.
So do you just have to know the owners to use this park, and you just get to look at it out the window here?
Funded primarily by donations, Chathouse Gardens is a relatively small trust-owned garden that is open to the public, although the high fences and security dissuade it from becoming overly popular with the market, guild, and nightlife. There you go.
So if I wanted to get in, I can just go in. I've heard there's a cemetery in there.
The cemetery's just over the way. Yeah.
Is that part of the privately owned property?
It isn't. And here I also pop open the cemetery. Picturesque Webley Cemetery. It's situated next to the Chathouse Gardens and is a popular memorial location. The cemetery itself is overpopulated, and only those able to make sizable donations to the Chathouse Trust are granted burials in the area. Rumors of hauntings persist despite no proof being put forward other than grainy pictures. So technically it is owned by the Chathurst Gardens Trust and has been given over to the cemetery.
So, do you see ghosts since you're so close to a cemetery?
I see enough very drunk patrons very late at night that I don't need to see anything more to shit my pants.
That honestly is probably scarier than a ghost.
At least a ghost can't touch you or attempt to, take a swing at you or whatever.
That should be no problem for you. I mean, look at you. You're fine. You could
As you gesture
wipe
at, like,
anybody
the
on the
6'2"
pavement.
guy who is an ex-boxer.
True, but then you get in trouble, and there's a whole story you need to do. I'd rather, drunk Hindus didn't come up and constantly be touching and feeling.
Tell me, do you like your job here? Do you like what you do?
Not particularly.
You could do anything. What would it be?
Anything.
Money's not a factor, location, none of it.
Might sound a little bit pretentious, but run my own gym.
That's not
The one I go to
pretentious.
around here is absolutely shite.
There are some areas around here I've got to get used to. It's just like one area is beautiful and then the next it's not so beautiful. I guess most cities are like that.
Pretty much. You gentrify one area, you push everyone else into the other. You don't care about them, and then the area for the gentrified gets all the nice stuff.
He gestures at Chathurst Gardens and Afterglow.
Well, this is a job for now. Maybe someday you can open that gym. It's always good to have a dream.
Aspirations in life. I know what you mean.
As he says that, patron down the bar kind of gestures.
Anyway, let me know if you want another.
He goes
Thank
down.
you.
As soon as he leaves, a relatively decent-looking man, probably about 25, kind of like with an ex public schoolboy rugby player physique, dark blonde hair swept back, just a shirt on, wide collar open, sits down next to you. So, like, hi. I was just wondering if I could buy you a drink.
I slowly turn to him and smile.
The
And I
name's
look him up and
Marcus.
down. Your name's Marcus?
Yes.
And why would you like to buy me a drink tonight?
Well, you look like you might be good company tonight.
I look around the bar. How many people are here?
That's probably about 16.
So you're just asking me to have a drink because you would like to spend time with me?
Isn't that normally what you ask people to buy drinks, sit down with them for a drink for?
Well, I don't. We'll start with one drink and see how the night goes.
Yeah, of course. You're an American. What do you do around here? You here for business or pleasure?
I'm filling in for Dr. Fates over at Mind Evolution. I'm a psychologist.
Can you roll me one dice, see if he's heard of your book?
Okay. Just roll a dice?
Yeah, if you use the quick roll macro in the macro
Okay.
tab, that'll allow you to roll it with the
Alright.
fancies.
Oh, God. Here we go. One success.
Oh right. I've actually heard of your book. I haven't read it. I'm sorry. Power of Extraordinary. What was it?
Grieve.
Grief. Rather impressive. You've got to publish a book and everything.
Yes, I have a pretty big practice in New York City, and now I'm out here helping for Dr. Fates. And have you ever needed to read a book on the power of extraordinary grief? Can't even say the title of my own book.
Well, obviously I have needed to read books. Not your book specifically. I'm sorry, but I haven't really had much of a reason to. I'm quite lucky my parents are still alive, and I'm an only child, so I haven't actually had to read your book. I know it exists. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at this.
It's okay. I've noticed you keep apologizing.
Well, long hours. Don't tend to get many Fridays off. I'm actually meant to be meeting someone briefly here, but
Did they stand you up?
Well, we're not meant to be meeting until 8. I thought I'd get here early and at least like have a drink. See if there's anyone interesting to talk to.
Who are you meeting later? Like a companion or?
No, like a business friend. We just he's handling me some stuff I need to take to work tomorrow. Well, on Monday.
All right. Well, this is a completely platonic. Join me for dinner and maybe we can chat.
Oh, yes, of course. As at this point, that Hackett walks in. You recognize Marcus Alexander immediately. Your contact, Antegris, who is currently talking to a rather well-off posh woman in a suit, sitting there with a half-drunk vodka martini. He completely does not see you come in, which is unusual. No, he's waiting.
I walk up and behind him and just put like a hand on his shoulder and like, up to some trouble, are we, Marcus?
He's like eyes you, eyes her, eyes you, and he's kind of does a subtle yeah. Have you got the goods? Oh, sorry. Teresa Thresher, Dr. Alfred Hackett. We have worked together.
Okay. I would like eye him up and down because he's like tall and built from the description.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, yeah. Dr. Hackett. My eyes would widen a little bit and I would reach my hand out. Doctor?
I reach mine. Shake.
It's nice to meet you. Is this your business associate you were waiting on, Marcus?
Yeah. Have you got the stuff?
Yes.
What is this, a drug deal?
No. I work in synthetic chemicals.
So technically it's a drug deal, but they're not illegal.
Well, all right, as long as it's not illegal. I don't want to get messed up in anything
they're not
that.
Like pharmaceutical drugs or anything. They're industrial processes.
All right.
I can't get the ligands right.
Chemicals are the better term, and I pull out like probably like it'll be a box. We'll do a box. It's wrapped in like brown paper.
He takes it, puts it in like the little satchel bag he has. I'll make sure to get you more of the stuff you need next week. I think we've got a new shipment coming in.
All right, good to hear. How's work?
Long. Putting extra time. We've got some new buyers wanting extra shipments.
Works for me.
Why don't you join us for dinner? Or is this just a quick?
Hackett, you're
You said you were meeting with
he's so
Dr. Hackett, so why don't you pull up a chair?
that was
Dr.
our meeting.
Hackett?
He's got another thing. He's really busy.
The more the merrier, unless you have something else to do, Dr. Hackett.
Yeah, the more the merrier. Sounds good to me.
Are you sure? Like, don't you have that really pressing engagement?
I did. Got cancelled.
I'm new in town. I'd like to meet some more people while I'm here.
I just sit down with a smile, looking at Marcus.
Okay. And we'll continue the scene after the break. A little bit later on the break today, but we'll be right back in a few minutes. We'll make this a really short break, so hopefully you'll bear with us on this one. Like I said, slow burn. Hopefully that's okay with everyone.
The cracks are appearing, though. We've been making some interesting observations.
Chat has been too. Every single. Oh wait, hold up.
I'm doing that. I'm sitting here like my mind's being blown every time there's some overlap. So
we're all like building little mind palaces. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So we'll be right back in a few minutes. We will be like 4 minutes or something. We'll try and make this one quick because we will be ending a little bit early today. But we'll be back very shortly.
See you momentarily.
How did different than all the rest. I'm quite old-fashioned, wear a hat, sometimes play chess. And when I'm out, I'm looking for that vintage fling. But all complexions that I adore, so hard to find, these seem impossible to score. So I dream on to someday find that vintage love. I kept on looking, but everyone's such a bore. And out of a sudden, you came through the door.
We're back.
Oh, we're back. Hello. Hi. We're continuing with our slow burn mage game. We will be ending a little early, so we should have enough time to get through the rest of today. Let's continue where we left off in the ritzy wine bar of Afterglow as it begins to patter down with a little bit of rain outside, the awning pulled out. You currently have seats at the bar. Do you want to move to like the balcony with the awning overhead as you look out over the garden while you crash Marcus's date with Teresa?
I would say we probably have moved to a larger table to accommodate how large Dr. Hackett is, and also
It's
just a little more private.
It's the two of you on one side and just Hackett on the other side.
I imagine it's Marcus on that side, Teresa on that side, and then you in the middle, and he's trying to float her across you, and you're just there going. So we pick up like 5 minutes later as they move to an outside table. Rain's pattering down a little bit, but they have the awning overhead that's been pulled out on pulleys, and you can see now across Chatsworth Gardens, Chesthurst Gardens. So, are you going to be over here like long?
I'm here for a few months. I'm filling in for a colleague. Actually, my
Oh.
mentor, while they're away.
Do you know many people over here?
Not too many. I have been here in passing, but I'm staying in a Oakwich, I think is what it's called. There's an Airbnb over there, so
Oh, it's really nice. I've
Settling in
always
for a
wanted to
few
look around
months.
some of the places around there. I don't live in Oakwich. It's a bit too expensive for me.
what part of the area do you live in then, Marcus?
Well, I come from Mark Gilden.
Okay, I haven't spent too much time there, but I'm sure it's nice.
Yeah, I've got a nice little like top apartment. I've been saving up trying to get somewhere better, but I've only just really been working full time for Integris for about 3 years now. And I've only just really finished the like introductory courses and so on, and it's somewhat difficult with the work to just find time.
Is that where you two work together,
Uh,
Dr. Hackett?
Oh, I don't work at Integris, but I help him out with things here and there. I'll lend my expertise where I can.
So like a consultant?
That sort of thing.
Well, what exactly is your doctorate in, Dr. Hackett?
Oh, it's in chemistry. It's just
Okay.
it's not quite my kind of work at Integris, but occasionally I can be useful. They've got a narrow-minded view. You know, they just take things as they are in the books, and they don't experiment.
Science has moved on a little bit since the teachings that you seem to follow. Tried to talk to me all about the world being made of like one substance that presents itself in multiple different ways. We
You
call
say
that
moved
quantum
on.
physics these days.
I say more closed in. You see where the problem comes from.
It's not unrealistic that there are conflicts of interest with whatever you choose to do. So I respect that you do your own thing.
Yes, he does get to in Integris. He gets to stare out wistfully over at Oakwich. You get to work in the area. You don't get to live there.
Yeah, well, at least like I don't live in a basement apartment.
It's cheap. Lets me do what I want to do.
True.
A basement apartment, how... Is that a choice, or is that something that you...
It's what money gets you in London.
It is very expensive here. But I live in New York City, so it's comparable. Well, I'm only here for a little bit, so it's nice to actually talk to other people.
Yeah. Like I can empathize because, as I said, I don't really get much time outside of work. So if you ever wanted to like meet up and discuss things.
Perhaps I should get both of your numbers and we can do this again. Do you come to Afterglow often?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, like whenever I get time. Hackett, you're too busy to really get to Afterglow much, aren't you?
I come through from time to time.
Are there other areas you like? Are there other places I should experience before I leave? Other bars, other notable locations? Touristy things? Anything that could be fun to do before I leave?
You know what? There is a bar, like a nightclub I can take you to later, if you're free.
But what day of the week is this?
Friday.
I take a minute to think about it. What the hell? Let's go to a nightclub. I haven't done that in years.
Hackett, it's not really your scene, but you're of course welcome. Like, we don't hang out that much anyway, outside of work stuff. But if you want to come to Cloister, you're more than welcome.
I'll have a think about it. I can maybe show off some of my fancier pieces. And he straightens out his new jacket. He's wearing the new one.
I like that, by the way. That looks very nice on you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I just got it. It's very, very well put together.
It's very classic.
There's this little place, a tailor shop, down one of the side streets, Hornsby and Sons. Though it's a great granddaughter that runs it now.
I might need to. Is it mostly menswear, or is there anything for me?
Oh, I'm sure they cater to anyone.
You
should come with us to. You said Cloister, Marcus?
Yeah, Cloister. It's probably the only nightclub actually close enough here to walk to. But it's nice. It's actually set inside a church that got converted.
Oh, that's edgy. I like that. I haven't been to a nightclub in ages. I mean, do you frequent nightclubs, Dr. Hackett?
No.
It could be an experience.
To giving it a go.
Yeah, a story to tell later in life.
Of past adventures, perhaps. I don't usually go for the more exciting sides of life, but it's worth seeing what I'm missing out on, I suppose. It gets so wrapped up in work, Marcus understands.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I mean, if we can have a few more drinks and head over in a few minutes if you want.
Sounds lovely. I haven't had much excitement since I've been here, so a night on the town could be interesting, and working too much, I know, can make life monotonous, so perhaps injecting some spontaneity isn't such a bad thing.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, with that, you have a few more drinks. And as you head out, the only thing notable on your way to Cloister is you walk past a woman in a very long anorak that is definitely too big for her and definitely old, kind of frayed in places. Would you mind describing Avery, Werewolf?
I would love to. She's wearing a very long anorak. Her hair is dyed black, but a very flat black. It's not professionally done. Someone just went to the chemist's. she's got multiple piercings pretty much everywhere you can see, and heavy lidded eyes. She's not very tall, sitting around 5'5", and she has this frenetic energy about her. Like, this is the kind of girl who could really mess you up or talk to you for 20 hours and you wouldn't feel bored in the slightest. One of the two. You never really know.
Okay. But yeah, you notice her, and she's making herself quite notable because she is in this intersection right out front of Afterglow, standing in the middle of the street, stopping traffic as people like try and move around her at slow speed. Like shouting at the top of her lungs, "It's all a failed experiment. They're all gonna reset everything from the very great basic beginnings. No one's listening. Humanity has failed. All these things have happened and will happen again." There's cars like move around. There's honking of horns.
Should we call the police?
You ever realize that sometimes things aren't your business? That seems like maybe not one of our business things.
But she could cause an accident, though.
Perhaps that's what fate will decide for her.
As you say that, she does sort of move towards the edge of the traffic and just kind of huff, looking at the cars going past.
Once you start taking...
Go ahead.
You say once you start taking responsibility for every single person in the world, you stop taking responsibility for yourself.
I'm not sure I'd leave it up to fate when someone's wandering down the road to put themselves in danger, but it seems like she's moved on, so I guess she'll go home and, you know, yell at the TV or something.
Does that kind of thing happen a lot around here?
Not particularly often.
Do I notice anything interesting about this woman? Now that I'm paying more attention to her?
Awareness wits?
Okay.
Didn't say no, because it is London, and there probably is the occasional
Yeah.
Two.
weirdo.
Not particularly. The die is probably the most notable part. It's very badly done, and it is also kind of probably done recently to the point where she has accidentally then got a lot of kind of off-run water all over herself and has kind of left it. So you can see that her skin is then smeared with kind of a darker cast in the hollows of her cheeks and so on, where she's probably just like maybe even bathed in some of the off-run of the water. So like there's definitely like, and you can see like the odd drip line where it's like it's dripped and she's not wiped it off. Probably done in the last week or so.
I don't know what to make of her, but I mean, we see this kind of thing in New York a lot too. Just sometimes it's what happens.
I do hear New York's practically famous for the odd people doing odd things in it.
Every corner you turn, every block you go down, you will see something new every single day.
So how's
Sounds
like
exhausting.
London comparing up to New York? Are we being good hosts or?
Yeah, it's quieter in an odd way, but you have prettier things to look at. Not as many buildings, more green space, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in more central London, there gets a little bit less green space, but out here, like on the edge, we at least have most of the, you know, the area nearby. Plenty of places to go for nice long walks and so on.
Still feel like I'm learning a lot about the area, so it's nice to have some tour guides tonight.
Do appreciate the architecture. They used to make buildings better than they do these days. I wish I was around.
As you like head over
Everything's
towards, you can see
Heavy
the
stone
church.
carvings and like sort of going off about like it was such a good style. Everything had such detail and care. Everything's flat
make a
glass these
note.
days. It's boring.
About his style and maybe his crotchety old man yelling from a porch a little bit.
Definitely.
Vibe.
And as Marcus seems to pick up on that, like, yeah, he tends to run like quite old-fashioned. It's I gotta say, I do appreciate like the old-fashioned architecture, but I do think the more modern touches are more helpful. Like certainly like cleaner lines and so on. He gives you a smile and a little bit like a soft wink.
Soft wink.
It's not like a sleazy wink is what I'm going for.
I think there's space for everything, old and new. Can all mix together. They all have their pros and cons.
Well, tonight is gonna be okay. I'll add that to the docket.
So this
So-
place is in a old church.
Well, it's been converted. Let me pull up. As you come around the corner, converted from a former church, Cloister is a gay bar that opens from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. with a surround internal balcony and 2 floor-to-ceiling poles in the wings and a full-length bar along the narthex. This serves all kinds of drinks, although the large selection of eclectic drinks and cocktails with bar flair is a major selling point.
This looks like a fun place. Honestly, the architecture alone, Dr. Hackett.
You know what parts of it appeal to me. The
I like
music
the
less so.
juxtaposition. Well, I like the juxtaposition of the, obviously very refined and like conservative aesthetic of the building itself, combined with the very liberal flair of the actual use of the club. I think that it's a amazing combination of the two that makes it actually like a really fun place to hang out. I have a lot of friends who go here, and I often go with them. But I thought, since we're all together, definitely staring daggers at Hackett at this point tonight, we might as well come here. And then
It's a great location. I look at him though as the way that he kind of like explained it and just kind of not judging him, but analyzing him as he's saying it. Can I do an insight on him to see if it's like insecurity or something that he's drawing on?
sure. Insight wits, and what exactly are we kind of trying to get out of this on him?
I'm trying to see if he's lonely.
Yeah. Go for it.
2 success.
2 successes. Yeah, he actually is being relatively honest when he says like he is overworked and he is lonely. Yes, he is overworked in a job that is probably quite repetitive and dull, and you are someone that he has both latched onto in the way that, yes, you are an attractive woman, but also you have a book and you're obviously smart, and you aren't from his workplace, which is probably where he meets everyone he knows right now, as is realized by Hackett being work-related, but not from work, being his only other friend.
Well, let's get a drink to celebrate new friends and new experiences. And I'll walk up to the bar and get us 3 shots. And what kind of alcohol would I get? I think I just go for straight tequila for all of us.
Okay. They serve you tequila with, of course, a slice of lime and some salt. At this point, I have to ask, do you just want to roleplay some being in the club, or do you want to just skip forwards a bit, or up to you?
I'm okay, like fast forwarding a little bit, just like we're hanging out and talking and taking in the vibe of Cloister. Is that how you say it?
Cloister, yeah.
We can jump a bit.
Okay. I mean, you get there kind of like probably a little after 10. Maybe just before 10. Yeah, you get there a little bit early. How far do you want to jump forwards in the night?
I think that I would call it an early night. Around 11:30, I'll start to get the motion going to leave by midnight so I can get back to my Airbnb.
Okay. So, like,
Oh, this is-
you begin to make those sort of closing remarks it's getting late, etc.
It was lovely spending time with you two. I think I might head home and get some rest. It was a long day at work for me, and
Do you want me to call you a cab or something? Or are you walking back? If you want, I can walk you back.
oh, I'm not gonna walk back in these heels. I'll probably call an Uber or a cab or something like that, but I can take care of it.
I know the local cab firms. More reliable than Uber anyway. You don't know who you're going to get.
If you insist. I won't turn that away, I guess.
He kind of like realizes that he has to now go outside to make the phone call because it's too loud in here, leaving you and Hackett, and you see him go, balls, internally, but he does step outside.
What's the plan for you, Dr. Hackett? Gonna keep the night going, or are you gonna head home?
I think I'll knock it on the head as well, and head back. I don't have anything particularly to get up for, but I think I've had my fill of the place.
It's kind of fun. I would not have come here on my own, and I'm kind of glad that I did.
It's more exciting than my alternative plans.
Which were?
Pretty much go home, read books.
Interesting. What kind of books do you read?
Chemistry books, that kind of thing. You know, journals. I like to look at the historic stuff. You know, the history of chemistry, and you know, sometimes I'll read like alchemy books and things just for the interest of it.
Do you ever read like a John Grisham novel?
Trying to think of who John Grisham is because I've seen those books, but I can't think what kind of books it is.
They're like Law and Order books.
Thriller mystery
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that kind of.
It's like I've given it a go. It's you know, all right, not my thing.
What does Dr. Hackett do for fun?
Well, I'm a big fan of you know, suits and that kind of thing. I love my fashion, so I suppose that's what I do. Is I go shopping. I mean, usually it's only a one piece every now and then. Seeing as getting hand tailored stuff these days is it's difficult.
You're very old-fashioned. It's interesting.
I'm a fan of the era, you know.
Which
Born
specific
in the wrong
era?
born in the wrong time. Yeah, you know, 1800s kind of deal. I just feel like things were more exciting then. There was so much we didn't know and we were looking for. And these days everyone's so sure of themselves. You know, they know they think they understand everything about the world and there's nothing more to learn. It's boring.
Wouldn't you miss the plumbing though?
Oh, modern conveniences are definitely an advantage. Less likely to die of dysentery.
Or the plague? I guess the plague was in the 1600s, wasn't it?
Yeah, there were a few of
There's
them. I
some
don't know.
sort of plague. I feel like you would like a Ren fair.
That's maybe a little bit too far. It's it's Renaissance. That's what I'm into. You know, science was this big, exciting frontier. Nobody knew what was going on, but they were gonna find out. That kind of thing.
Marcus walks back at this point. Are you going on about the Renaissance again? I keep telling you that's like just a very short period of time specific to northern Italy and like 3 city-states. It doesn't even really count as a proper time period.
I mean, that time there was stuff outside of people. Everyone was doing experiments. It was interesting. So many cool things going on.
Generally.
You see, this is what I'm talking about. It's like nobody cares about it anymore.
If he doesn't care about, then nobody will. And so you're keeping it alive in your own way, and that is your thing.
Fair enough.
Here's my card. And I'm going to stand up and I'm going to hand them both my card.
Okay.
If you'd like to hang out again, you can call the office and maybe we can set up another evening.
Thank you.
It was nice to meet you, and thank you for the cab. And I touch Marcus on the arm and I grab my stuff and I start heading
He
out.
kind of stands more upright as soon as you do that. Yeah, it'll be here in like 2 minutes.
I can wait outside.
Sure.
Eat some fresh air.
We go outside with you and just wait for the camp.
I'll be all right. I'm pretty sure I can handle myself. If something happens in the next 2 minutes, then you can relive that guilt for the rest of your life. I'm just joking, but I
Well, at
think
which
I'll
point,
be
I guess
okay.
your book will come in handy.
Very true. You could just crack open my book and learn how to handle the grief of letting me die in those 2 minutes outside.
As we see Tree the Thresher leave Cloister. You absolute bastard.
I thought you did pretty well.
I could have done better.
I was had a boring evening ahead of me. This was more interesting.
Thank you for the synthetic ligands, by the way. They're putting more and more demand on getting those synthetic compounds out early.
I keep telling you, you'll get the hang of it if you just broaden your perspective.
Yo, you handed me that book ages ago and told me it was meant to make everything clear, and I still don't understand what you're on about, but I'm not going to deny whatever you do with your chemistry works.
Yep, the results speak for themselves. You'll get it one day.
Right. Are you heading home?
Oh yeah.
Well,
I'm getting a headache.
yeah. Well, I thought it would be a good idea to bring her to the gay bar. Was maybe not my most... Look, it was on the fly cunning plan, and I think it might have failed somewhat. Anyway, I'm on the way... Well, so did you. The office number.
You can work with it.
I'm not exactly some sort of player.
Sure.
My heart is broken in half by your words, Alfred. Anyway, I'm on the way back to yours. We can circle past the gardens, and then you can go alone past the haunted, creepy cemetery at night.
I think I'll survive. If anything comes out, I'll just punch it.
You can't punch ghosts. I don't know why you keep going on about that.
I'll work it out. If I can't punch them, they can't punch me. No problem. Just keep walking.
That is the kind of logic that is why I'm friends with you. And you head out. It's a relatively uneventful walk back. Market Gilden is a pretty large area, and he breaks off north of Chathurst Gardens without really too much of a word. You're friends enough that he doesn't need to say like overly goodbyes. Mentioning that he'll have some more stuff for you next week. As you head past Webley Cemetery, it's pretty dull and empty. No weird specters, at least obvious right now. And you head home, right?
Yep.
Okay. In which case, Teresa Thresher. Taxi takes you straight back to Oakwitch. Please make me an awareness wits roll.
Okay. That's not ominous at all. Oh, I failed that.
Yep. You get back to your Airbnb. It's a pretty nice house to which you are currently renting, while the occupants are in the south of France or wherever they are. You get to the biggest of the bedrooms, big like 4-poster, and you settle in. Anything you want to do tonight before you go to sleep?
No, I would just sit down and do some deep breathing exercises for myself and look out a window that's probably totally black and I can't even see anything, and just kind of, you see like almost a loneliness aura around her, but I just go through my routine for the evening. My skincare, like you see like the glam get taken off, and slowly start working towards just somebody in pajamas sitting on a bed and going to sleep.
As you all go to sleep.
Well, I mean, I think I'd like to send a message to a friend before I go to bed.
Sure. What time do you normally go to bed?
It really depends upon how much grading he has to do. So tonight it's going to be, or if he's out for the night. But tonight it's going to be roughly early. I think by the time they get to Cloister, he's already tucking in.
Okay.
But before he does, he's probably shirtless, so you get to see that he's actually a lot more buff than the sweater would suggest. He's going to send a message to a friend of his, Lyle, I think, saying, basically, if you could check out this SUV for me, hanging around UCL, I'd appreciate it. And giving them the details. And that's it. Oh, there's a heart emoji at the end.
Roll me 1 dice. Just 1 dice.
Just
you don't
one
have
dice.
him as like a contact on call or anything,
It's
so it's just
true.
a normal contact. So we'll see if he can get back to you.
Let's hope so.
One. Okay. Hassan, you're awoken pretty late in the night, or at this point early, as you blink, trying to figure out why you've woken up. It's about 2:50 a.m. Your phone is ringing, and it's Lyle.
Miss me already, eh?
Hey, well, it's not been long enough for me yet, but I'm sure I'll get over how you snore during your sleep.
Cute.
I don't know exactly about this SUV you've been talking about, but did you see the sky? It's at this point that you wake up.
Oh no.
We see a man step out of a train station in Webley Bridge. We watch him from as he walks briskly down the short flight of concrete steps, a pep in his step as he heads to teach his morning ethics lecture at University College, London's South Campus. As his foot hits the pavement, a train passes by. A pedestrian bumps into him roughly. Which way are you going, you wanker? Meanwhile, elsewhere in Webley, we cut to a spacious, minimalist, but austere-looking office. In one corner, we see a man, red and slightly out of breath. He talks and talks and talks, spittle occasionally flying from his lips. But we focus on a woman opposite.
Anyway, that's just how I feel about it. What do you think?
And lastly, our camera starts in darkness with only a low background hum. Faint music can be heard in the background, and a sudden increase in volume and flood of light. It's 9:37 a.m., the 3rd of October. Good morning, mages. That's where we're going to end for today.
God damn.
Bloody
Thank you for playing along today. We'll be back next week.
I didn't expect that at all.
Chat's like, this is it. I knew it.
I called it when the lady was raving in the street. I'm like, oh, he's doing a Groundhog Day. That's what he's doing.
So, we're going to go over our announcements. And then we'll do some shilling and stuff, and we'll go for where you can catch everyone until next week, where we will continue. Today's supporter is Thunder Cabbage.
Thunder Cabbage.
Thank you very much for supporting today's episode, making it possible to play the majority of our cast cost. In addition, there are some general Patreon changes being announced. They're on our Patreon. Go check them out, including Cast Pay Up, going down to 2 shows a week. Mage rules and character sheet will be coming soon, so if you want to play this version of Mage that I homebrewed, I'll be making those available. Yeah, we got a whole load of music we're using. It was more limited today, but it will get more and more expansive as we go on. So look out for that. I'll have the links will be in the description of the YouTube video for the different people. Well, not the links, but the description. I think Witcher 3, Frostpunk, Shadowrun, Myuu, and Epidemic Sound. And we have been sponsored by Roll20, which have allowed us to do a lot of this fun map stuff, which is definitely a way that you're not meant to use tokens, but you can. And we've got a copy of Vampire the Masquerade rulebook to give away on Roll20. So if you want to get in with that, check out our pinned tweet. It has all the details on that. So if you want to get a chance at that, thank you very much to them. And we have Ascension MP3 and After Show now out. So if you want to go check those out and you're on the Patreon, you can go check them out. We'll be back next week with more of this. So let's go through our lovely cast for the day. And I think let's start off with Dr. Riyad Hassan, Werewolf. Who are you? What are you doing? Where can we find you until next week?
Hi, my name is Noor Naliba. Yes, you can call me Werewolf. My pronouns are he, him. And you can catch me online at Werewolf Feels. Twitter, I'm starting Twitch now, all the things. And you can find me on various other channels doing various other things. Basically, catch me in September where I will suddenly be in 3 games at once. It's going to be great. Beyond that, you can catch me writing things for TTRPGs. So honestly, I think if you go to my Twitter, you'll find a card link. Click that. You'll find a list of all the things. I'm constantly updating it. This is going to be added on to there soon, along with several question marks about what the hell is happening. Anyway, looking forward to next week.
Katie, Dr. Teresa Thresher, what about you?
Hello, I'm Katie Peters Plays. I played Dr. Teresa Thresher for you today. I am so excited for next week already. You can catch me on a D&D show on Wednesday nights, but I just stream on my channel and I play all sorts of different things, space horror and Minecraft right now. So come hang out and catch me on Twitter at PlayKatiePlay. What else should I say? What else do I say? I am not like Teresa Thresher in real life. I am a very different person. So come hang out my stream. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a good reminder. We're not our characters.
I am not Dr. Teresa.
I mean, I'm going to go wash out my mouth with soap after today's characters, but...
Bentham.
Honestly.
Dr. Alfred Hackett, what about you?
I am Bentham, and you can find me all over Roll for doing all sorts of things, but I also do my own stuff sometimes. I got a YouTube channel, a Twitch channel, and for terrible reasons that they're called Mangled Pork. And I play games there, and we've been doing some SnowRunner, and then more recently we've been playing a bunch of Carrier Command 2 multiplayer, being super hyped about that, and we'll probably play another thing soon. I don't know, we'll find out. That's me. What about you?
Hi, you can find me sometimes at twitch.tv/EnterElysium. I'll be, in theory, maybe streaming a bit more this week. I was prepping a lot for this because I needed to prep an entire day because it's gonna be a day that you'll go through a few times. So I've been doing a lot of prep for this, so hopefully back to a bit more of a normal schedule in terms of that. But that is it. Let's go through tips and stuff, and whoop, there we go. That's my cursor.
Enjoying the music.
It's a bumping soundtrack.
It is. I want to listen to this just throughout my day.
Yeah.
This
over
is
and over
the
and over
song
again.
I picked out for Hassan's theme because it keeps talking about light, and I'm like, yeah, that's a Hassan thing. Okay, yeah, no tips today, so we are good. We're gonna do an after show. Can you get Spotify playlists? Most of these are not on Spotify, I'm afraid. I could always share them at some point in the future, though. If you have an Academic Sound account, you can get them from there. Right, anything else I'm missing? Are we good?
I think we're good.
We're good. We're going to go do an after show, and thank you very much for taking part and watching, and I hope the promise of a slow burn paid off. We'll be back next week with the next day, the 3rd of October. Catch you then.
Oh dear. See ya.
A little different than all the rest. I'm quite old-fashioned, wear a hat, sometimes play chess. And when I'm out, I'm looking for that vintage fling. But all complexions that I adore, so hard to find, these seem impossible to score. So I dream of